still hate. My friends don't bring you up no more. I'm sure yours don't mention me. I remember how we were before. It don't feel like memories. Why can't I get over you? Your love is a fire, still high on the fumes. I've done everything I know I can do. I'm still in love on you. I'm still in love. I'm still in love. yours here right now. The kind of night we dream about. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. That's when you get it right. So hold on tight to me. Love like you never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop touched my skin and left your mark. You knew all the words to say, held the strings tied to my heart, pulled and pushed away. My friends don't bring you up no more. I'm sure yours don't mention me. I remember how we were before. It don't feel like memories. Why can't I get over you? Your love is a fire, still high on the fumes. I've done everything I know I can be. I'm still in love on you. I'm still in love. I'm still in love. I'm still in love. Why can't I get over you? Your love is a fire, still high on the fumes. I've done everything I know I can do. I'm still in love on you. I'm still in love. I'm still in love. Do you ever ask what if? Do you almost call? Am I the only one who feels crazy? 'Cause I still miss it all. Why can't I get over you? Your love is a fire, still high on the fumes. I've done everything I know I can do. I'm still in love on you. I'm still in love on you. Bags underneath my eyes. All of these sleepless nights without you in my life. Nothing I haven't tried to get you off my mind. yours here right now. The kind of night we dream about. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Yeah, time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Stop, take a breath, close your eyes, remember this. Oh, 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 it's beautiful. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. Time flies when you get it right, so hold on tight to me. Love like we never grew up, and live like you just get one tonight. We're kings and queens. One blink and it's over. Wake up and we're older tonight. We're kings and queens. touched my skin and left your mark. You knew all the words to say. Held the strings tied to my heart. Pulled and pushed away. My friends don't bring you up no more. I'm sure yours don't mention me. I remember how we were before. It don't feel like memories. Why can't I get over you? Your love is a fire, still high on the fumes. I've done everything I know I can be. I'm still alive on you. I'm still alive. I'm still alive.
Well, hey everybody, this is Carl from Carl's Opinion. Started a couple minutes early here. I see some people there in the chat room, and I just want to say thanks for everybody joining us today. Hope you guys liked the little preview background of the pollution and stuff. I don't know. I was just one of those moods, and I said that's a good picture. Let's show that. but but anyway, I thought it looked good. But I hope you guys enjoyed the music. And for anybody who watched last night and yesterday morning, when I was at the Pahrump Balloon Festival. And if you didn't, hopefully you got a chance to go back and take a look at the videos. The first video in the morning was when they launched the balloons. It was approximately 7 a.m. my time, West Coast time, Las Vegas time, and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it was fun watching all the balloons launched up. I tried to shoot them also from right when they were laying flat on the ground, and you could see them actually get inflated and actually get stood up, and then actually just go ahead and launch. That was pretty cool. And then at night, I went back to the park for the nighttime light show with the balloons. Hopefully, you guys get to see that. I try to stay a pretty decent distance so you get a good panoramic view of all the different balloons going off. It was choreographed to music, and it was kind of cool how they were like individually lighting up their balloons, hitting the propane tanks to time it with the music and to coordinate with each other. And all the balloons, of course, have different colors and different patterns on them. And so I thought that was really cool to watch. And hopefully you guys got to see hope you did. Hope you enjoyed it. And if not, definitely go back take a look at it. The nighttime show was really cool. It's not real long. Once they got them started, it was maybe less than 30 minutes. So. And then the morning show I was on probably I want to say about an hour and a half or so, but it was just kind of cool watching it, watching the balloons being launched right up close like that. So if you get a chance, you can take a look at that, and let's take a look see what we got going on in the chat. So we got GT, got Amy. I saw let's see, Lynx was in there earlier. So I just want to say hi to everybody, Amy, GT. Yeah, it was an interesting night last night. Had a couple of people. New Mexico, Arizona, you guys just have the same guys I know that come up here, and that's why we do ours when the weather isn't so good because it's every year they do it up here. It's always cold and windy, and they got rained out. The first day they really couldn't do much on Friday, but we have to coordinate with we have to fit into their schedule when they have something open, and they're open in February for us. And so we definitely grab it, and it's a big event for the town. We're a small town here. There's only like 37,000 people, so we definitely you guys Albuquerque, New Mexico, Arizona, those are the really big crowds. Also the wine country. They go up there for a lot of events up in central Northern California. So we're happy to have him here. It's a big deal. A lot of people come out. It's a real friendly type of environment. It's a really safe environment too. A lot of people from Vegas like to come up here because Prum's really safe. It's funny. Most people that come up from Vegas, you would imagine they're probably like blue state people, ex-Californians, liberal people, and they like coming up here because it's safe, and we don't have like home invasion, robberies, and things like that, and the reason why it's so safe up here versus Vegas is that just about everybody up here is carrying a gun. I have a lot of liberal friends up here, a lot of conservative friends. One thing both my liberal friends and conservative friends have in common is they're all armed. And so they don't realize in Vegas the reason why it is so safe up here is that, anytime criminals, kind of drive up the hill here, make a couple of stops, trying to check the town out, see if it's a good place to commit a crime, they usually run into a few people who are open carrying. And then they ask around, they say, oh, yeah, most people, just about everybody carries a gun up here, whether it's open carry or concealed carry. And it kind of acts as a dissuader, if you will. I was at a gas station, I witnessed that myself, and a couple of guys were in there, and you kind of always you don't keep your head on a swivel. I mean, you're not like insane, but you just always check your surroundings wherever you get out, even in a safe town like Pahrump. And I just kind of checked it out. And didn't really recognize these guys or anything, and all of a sudden I hear them talking like, yeah, that guy's packing over there. Do you see that? See that guy packing? And of course you almost if you carry a lot, you're always cognizant of the fact that you have a gun on you, but you don't think it's a big deal. So when these guys were all talking like, oh, he's got a gun, it's like, I look over at them, and it's like they didn't look like law-abiding citizens, let's put it that way. So, but people from Vegas come up here, oh, it's such a great place, and they don't realize that there generally are, a lot of people are going to be anti-gun, California, anti-Second Amendment. They don't realize that, you're right. You never think twice about seeing open carry. It's just, you just do it, and you feel more comfortable with it. I like the open carry versus concealed carry. I know the debates on both sides of the argument on that one. I've been on actually on both sides of that argument, but I like the open carry versus the concealed carry because I like the deterrent value. I don't want it to say I have a gun. I don't want to have to use my gun. I'd rather just leave it in its holster. I'd be very happy if it just stays in its holster. So if somebody sees you with a gun, it's a deterrent versus if you have it concealed and something gets started, then you have to either say, well, I got a gun, and then of course the testosterone starts flying. Well, I don't care about your gun and all this. Then you end up, unfortunately, maybe in a position where you have to pull it. But if you have it open and you pay it, you don't walk around thinking like you're some hot shit asshole. You just walk around, that you have one, and then maybe nobody starts anything because you're carrying a weapon, exposed, and they can see it. That's why I like it. Hey, none of your business. How you doing there, girl? Good to see you over there. And yeah, let me just. So there you go. But yeah, that's but yeah, again, like I said, people from Clark County, from Las Vegas, a lot of a lot of former Californians, and kind of anti-gun, but they like coming up here because it's safe, and they want to move up here because it's safe, and they don't realize why it's so safe, or they don't want to admit as to why it's so safe, or they'll give you a look maybe if you're carrying one, like, oh, I can't believe you're carrying a gun. It's like, yeah, that's why you're walking around here so safe, stupid. But anyway. Oh, good. I'm glad you did. Yeah. Did you get to, Nanya? Did you get to watch both the launching in the morning and the light show at night? Because yeah, the light show was pretty cool. But yeah, I like both events. The night show was cold. I mean, I was cold out there. I had thermal socks on and long underwear and stuff, and it was still chilly. We're not used to. When you're in Southern Nevada, you're not used to the real cold. It snowed just a couple days ago. I want to say that was Wednesday night. I think it was Wednesday night. It was actually snowed up here. It came down pretty good too, and we're definitely not used to seeing that. We get snow like once every 2 to 3 years, maybe, and it doesn't stick around very long, obviously, because warms up during the day and it actually rains the next day. Oh, just a morning one. Yeah, no, you get a chance. Check out the night one I did with the light show. I think you'll find it pretty cool. The balloons are synchronized with music and they're synchronized with each other, and they're all the canvases of course have a lot of colors on the outside. So what they do is they hit the torch while they're tethered to the ground and the balloons are up, and they hit the torch and it lights them up, really bright, and then they can all light at once and they go one after the other, one after the other. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, definitely if you get a chance, check that out because it was fun. Like I said, it was kind of cold. I had a really good rig in the morning. I had a nice 5 foot telescopic mount, and I have this rig for hold the phone and a lamp and a microphone and stuff. But I couldn't use it in the evening for reasons. And yeah, Las Vegas got snow, definitely, yeah. And I couldn't use it in the evening for reasons, so I had to just use a handheld one. I didn't have the 5 foot one that actually sat on the ground with a tripod. So that was it was like that was kind of funny. But yeah, well, anyway, we got a lot of news to get to tonight, so we'll cover some politics over here. So let's take a look, see what we got going, and we'll bring it on up. And let's see, let's get rid of one of these here, so you can be able to see it a little bit better. Boom, boom. It's from the Washington Times, and okay, Pentagon chief floats wholesale redesign of U.S. border. And let's get myself over here. Bad place. Hold on. Oh. There we go. Anyway, Pentagon chief floats wholesale redesign of U.S. border security. This is a story. The Secretary of Defense went down to the U.S. border to actually see what's going on, because with that national emergencies declaration, he's tasked the Defense Department to find like 3.7 billion that they're going to grab from them on construction projects and other projects. And so they're down there trying to see, okay, we got this money. Where are we going to put it? What's going to be the best use as far as getting the wall built and stuff? So he was down there checking that out. But he's also wanted to just, if you see the headline there, wholesale redesign of U.S. border security. He goes down there and he probably says, oh, Jesus, this is a mishmash of different policies that were overlapping each other, probably even contradicting each other, over years, over different administrations, over different people who are running Customs Border Patrol. Amy could probably speak to this, conflicting orders, or not really sure, okay, which orders to go for, which orders not to. So I guess the chief went down there because like, hey, we got to take a look at this whole thing and figure out what we're going to do with this. And so that's a good thing for sure. And so let's take a look at what he says in the story. El Paso, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan said Saturday after visiting U.S. Mexico border that the government needs a broader, more effective approach to border control. He suggested the Pentagon might contribute with the expertise in surveillance and monitoring. Yes, thank you. Thank you for electing President Trump, everybody, including me. Yay. Under the previous administration, the idea of the Pentagon going down there and taking a look at shit and saying, hey, we do this for a living, like around the world. Maybe we can help you out. Never would have happened. No way. They would have told, no way, you can't do it. And so this is Shanahan speaking. How do we get out of treating the symptoms and get at the root of the issue? Shanahan said in an interview while flying back to Washington. Considering how the military could reinforce efforts to block drug smuggling and other illegal activity comes as the Pentagon weighs diverting billions of dollars for President Donald Trump's border wall. Shannon said he was not volunteering the Pentagon to take over any part of border control. Yeah, obviously, because, it's a turf issue. He doesn't want to step on anybody's toes, which is important. I mean, these guys have been running this stuff for years, which is the responsibility of the Department of Homeland Security. But he said his visit led him to question whether there should be a wholesale redesign of the way border control is done by the federal government. Shannon said the Pentagon is willing to continue supporting the DHS, but wants to see a longer-term solution. And that makes sense. And he goes on to say, I don't want to just add resources to the problem. The Pentagon, for example, has agreed to temporarily provide active duty troops to operate Border Patrol vehicles whose cameras can surveil wide areas along the border. Shannon said this will free up the Border Patrol to do other important aspects of their mission. He said this is a function that could be developed more fully with the benefit of decades of U.S. military experience with ground and aerial reconnaissance and surveillance around the world. In addition to speaking with Border Patrol agents and other leaders during his visit, Shanahan flew in a V-22 Osprey aircraft along dozens of miles of border west of El Paso, including two areas where DHS is proposing to replace vehicle barriers with 18-foot and 30-foot border walls. Shanahan and the Joint Chiefs Chairman, General Joseph Dunford, visited a border site called Monument Site 3, where a stretch of 18-foot border wall stands atop a huge landfall. They also got up close to look at a Border Patrol vehicles used for surveillance. Vehicle-mounted surveillance cameras can see as far as 8 miles away. That I did not know. During the visit, Shannon tried his hand at firing a couple of Border Patrol weapons, including one that fires plastic bullets. The two Border Patrol control sites farther west are on a list of high-priority projects DHS submitted to Shanahan on Friday to support its request for money to pay for construction of roads, replacement of vehicle barriers, dilapidated pedestrian fencing, installation of lighting. And if you notice, the thing what Shanahan is doing, he's mirroring, and Amy, we talked about this, and in fact, you brought it up on one of the videos, Title 10, Section 284, which specifically allowed for the military to provide additional resources for drug interdiction and for transnational drug organizations such as the drug cartels along international borders, to wit the border with Mexico. And he's talking specifically about what that statute provides in subsection 7, I think I want to say section C, subsection 7, which is for fencing and lighting. Okay, so that's mirroring the statute perfectly, because that's what the statute provides the ability to do. And with the declaration of national emergency, then that allows the president and when the president has to write his report, one of the things he's going to write, if he hasn't done it already, and they submit it to Congress, is a statement that, okay, what statute did you use, how much money did you use, and where did you put it? And one of the statutes, obviously, the president's going to cite is going to be Title 10, United States Code, Section 284. And, in fact, let's punch part of that up here. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see what I do with it. Let's see. If I lose you guys, I'll be right back. So, I mean, like, if I go away, I'll swear to God I'll come back. I don't think I'll lose you guys, but just in case. Worse things have happened. But let's see. Hold on. Okay. 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 And pulling up the statutes as we speak. You can do it. Forrest, run. Forrest, run. Okay, hold on. All right, let's see. We can do this here. All right. Let's see. And let's see. Boom. Anyway, there it is. Title 10 USC, Section 284, support for counter-drug activities and activities to counter transnational organized crime. And of course, I cropped this a little bit because it's not a super long statute, but still, I just wanted to get, the key points on it. It talks about the Secretary of the Army being able to coordinate with state, local, or tribal law enforcement agencies as well as the federal government. And responsibilities, types of support may provide support in subsection A for other departments or agencies of the federal government or state, local, tribal law enforcement agencies. And you see down at the bottom, subsection 7, specific support they're allowed to provide. This is the U.S. military is for the construction of roads and fences and installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across international boundaries of the United States. So this is Congress. Again, anybody that says that what the president is doing is unconstitutional is insane. Nancy Pelosi, we talked about this the other day, admitted that the president does have the constitutional right to do this, the authority to do this. Why? Because Congress gave it to the president back in 1976. So, and it doesn't specify, it can declare a national emergency if it's deemed to be a national emergency. Nowhere in the statute, the Congress gave the president broad powers in 1976. Broad powers. Nowhere does the president have to fit a certain criteria. It's not like a list of 19 factors the president has to do a mark next to, and if he gets like, say, I don't know, 10 of those 19 factors, he can declare a national emergency. So there's really no place for the U.S. district courts to look to say, somebody says, well, it's not really a national emergency. Well, a decent district court judge who's following the law is going to say, well, Congress, you didn't spell that out. I'm not going to add law to the law that you guys wrote and passed. Especially if you look at 76. You had a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and a Republican president, to wit, Gerald Ford. We had just come off of Vietnam and the CIA stuff, and if anything, the Democratic-controlled House and Senate would have been very conservative, but even they recognize the fact that there are cases where you need a national emergency declared, and you want the president to move quickly. You have to go through Senate committees and stuff like that. Further, a big argument against, a lot of good arguments against a challenge to the president declaring a national emergency is that Congress gave itself an out clause, to wit, they don't need to rely on the court to undo a national emergency. They can, in fact, Nancy Pelosi is doing just that. It's a great argument for the government, for the Attorney General's office, or the Solicitor General's office to argue on behalf of the government, is that, well, look, Nancy Pelosi is arguing that they have a way to undo this. You don't need to go to the courts to do it. They can just vote by joint resolution and send it to the president's desk. And somebody said, well, what if he vetoes it? Well, that happens, but you still have a way out, namely you can override the veto. And I guarantee you, if the president was doing something, any president was doing something totally wacky, insane, you could find 2/3 of both parties, 2/3 of the Senate, 2/3 of the House to pass a resolution saying you got to stop. So, and that's why they made it 2/3. Though they didn't just make it by a simple majority. When they wrote it, they realized, well, God, people get swayed. If we just do a simple majority, you might as well not give them a National Emergency Act declaration, because you could always find just majority plus one to undo it. And then they realized that even the very liberal Congress back in 76 realized, oh, well, if we make it they can undo it by a simple majority, then we might as well not give them the power. It doesn't matter. You might as well just end it right now. So, and that's why they made it. You have to have 2/3 vote in both houses to override. So Lindsey Graham was on earlier today. He was on Maria Bartiromo's show. And she asked him, like, okay, what's going to happen with the vote? Well, it'll pass the House. Of course, they have way more than enough votes just by the people who signed off on it already. It'll get to the Senate. He suspects that they'll probably be able to peel off a few Republicans. We know they can. Collins already said she was going to vote for it, for ending the national emergency. Then, of course, you can add on to that Mitt Romney. I'm sure he'll vote for ending it, and a couple other rhinos. I'm sure you can get a hold of, maybe Murkowski up in Alaska, and who knows who. But you only need, if all the Democrats hold firm, that's 47. You just need 4 Republicans. Now, some people are saying that maybe Manchin and one other Democrat will probably vote against it, which would make sense for Manchin. A lot of people in West Virginia aren't big fans of illegal immigration. It's not like, yay, And remember, Manchin was very smart. Manchin voted for Kavanaugh. And because he was up for re-election. Now, a lot of people yelled at him, including in the hallway after he cast his vote. Oh, how could you do this? You're awful. He goes, yeah, well, after the election, remember who was still in office? He was. And there were 3 pretty powerful Democratic senators, including McCaskill, who were no longer in office. Okay, because they voted the wrong way on Kavanaugh. So he voted the right way on Kavanaugh, and the people of West Virginia said, okay, you're a Democrat. But you know what? When the rubber hit the road, or whatever, you came through and you voted the right way. So I could see him being a no vote with no political consequence in West Virginia. In fact, people in West Virginia would be like, yeah, good idea. We're glad you voted that way. And Schumer knows he can't really give Manchin too much crap. I mean, what's he supposed to do? All Schumer has to do is point to the 3 Democrats that are no longer sitting there rather, and say, hey, yeah, that's what happened, okay? I'm in a red state. What do you want? And it's not just a red state. I think Trump won that state, about 40 points? I mean, that's like super red state. So, so figure you need like 5 or 6 Republicans. That's what I'm trying to say. And you could probably find 5 or 6. But Graham went on to say, he goes, the president already said he'll veto it. I mean, that's automatic. So then they'll need 2/3. That means they'll need 67 votes in the Senate. And that means they would need 20 Republicans, maybe 25. Although if they had 20 Republicans, I'm sure Manchin would go along with the 20 Republicans. But you would say need 20 Republicans to peel off. Now, I can't see 20 Republicans peeling off. I just don't see that. I mean, if they have their ears anywhere towards, let's see here. Yeah, if they have their, let's see, the tribal authorities. Yeah, I saw your comment there, Amy, as far as the tribal lands. Now they don't have to be a part of this. This just allows them, if they wanted to, they could make like a state, like the state of Texas could make a request to the federal government, say, hey, we got these drugs pouring across. We have an international border with Mexico. We have these drugs coming across. We want you to come in here and help us, okay? And then the state would say, we have some extra money here. We can, move money around and stuff like that. But we want your support. So the tribal people could do it as well. I doubt they will, but they could. But they don't have to be a part of the once Trump declares a national emergency and Trump directs the Secretary of the Army and Secretary of Defense to actually do stuff. We got a phone call coming in. Hold on. Hey, Mr. Douchebag, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Carl? How you doing? How is everything?
Everything is doing good. Everything is good.
Good. I actually got the notification you went live, but I wasn't able to call in until after I got done with my stuff, so I didn't know. So it's been on like an hour already?
No, I just got on to like a couple minutes before 8 o'clock my time, like maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. I saw Nunya and Lilo in the chat room. I kind of briefly caught it. I wanted to call in before anybody, beat everybody else to it. You know what I mean?
Well, good job. You made it. You made it for sure.
Yeah. So, Carl, did you? Are we open topic, right? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody.
Yeah, we're open topic. Kind of keep it to politics. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
And we were just talking about immigration. Do you have any ideas on immigration? Are we talking about the border wall and stuff? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, it's interesting. I find it interesting that we're now hearing more about border wall construction than we have in the past. It's kind of like they were keeping it under wraps because, it's funny. If you actually stop and think about that, because I've been seeing a lot lately, everyone knows that the media... Trump probably knew that the media would not cover border wall being built, but you think that the liberal media would use that to try and rally their base, right?
You would think.
So, yeah, but they're so desperate. They're so, they're scared. The deep state, we never want to take anything for granted, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, they're scared. They know that Trump is coming. They know Trump is coming. They know the populist movement is rising. I was listening to Steve Truly because of all the immigration in Europe. Right-wing politicians are poised to win big in May in their elections.
Wait, hold it. You mean in 2020, right? What are you talking about in May? Did you say in May?
No, the European elections.
Oh, European elections. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have clarified. I'm sorry. But anyway, back to the border wall. When we were talking the last time, how I was showing you how the parts of Texas, they were filling in those 2 big gaps, so like 30 or 40 miles.
Yeah.
And they have the wall being built there because that gray line is where they have fencing. Let's face it, Texas. I think most of the construction is going up in Texas, and I think parts of Arizona. But the funny thing is, when those walls, because I think the walls are scheduled to get, I could be wrong on this, but I think the walls probably get completed in Texas and Arizona before they do in California. And then California is going to implode with a whole bunch of is going to
implode.
They're going to have a rush in California.
Yeah, I think.
And,
well, yeah, because remember they said a lot of the wall is done in California, but like right there at Tijuana, where they were sneaking through, like where the new wall was meeting the old fence. It seemed like that's where people were trying to sneak through that one time, and they had to hit them with the tear gas and stuff. You remember that scene when they rushed the fence, and all the guys are rushing over there. I mean, it seemed like something out of a really bad movie. Like people throwing rocks at you and stuff. I mean, it's like in real time, and the media's like, "Oh, nothing to see here except look at that woman with her child." It's like, no, about those guys who throwing the rocks. Let's start with them first.
Yeah. You know what's really funny, Carl? I love how these leftists, because I'm half Latin. I'm not trying to play the identity politics, but, me being half Cuban, and I'm sitting here, they're telling me, the wonders of socialism and the wonders of, this and that. When I'm disagreeing with them, I'm sure they'd love to call me a white supremacist or anything, but, they would look stupid in front of their friends if they started calling me, somebody who's half Latino, a white supremacist.
Yeah,
so they keep their mouth shut, but you could tell in their eyes that they want to, they want to call me that. I'm like, Trump. You know what? And even if, Trump is not a racist, the man is trying to secure this country for all Americans, all Latinos, all blacks. Everybody who loves this country and everything it represents. Like I said, I'm sick and tired of these illegals coming over. My mother had to come here the legal way. What the hell? Why? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to curse. I do apologize.
Right.
Why in the hell do these people should they get a pass? For what? And then progressives say, oh well, they're here. They ought to. They're already working jobs. BS. Get in the back of the line like everybody else has to. I mean, it sickens me to no end that these people think that they can just cut in front of everybody who's trying to get here the legal way. I mean, you start reading the articles. I think Trump's approval rating among Latinos is like 40%, 50%. I didn't see the latest polls, but
I haven't seen the latest polls, but I think he's because he was at 30 at the election. I mean, and that was right after that really nasty. No, that was really after that nasty campaign. So I think his numbers are up around 40 right now with Latinos right now. So I mean, they haven't gone down; they've only gone up. His numbers with African American men, at least, the women, I don't know what that deal is, but African American men, his numbers are going up steadily as well. So I mean, because everybody's seeing, shit. I mean, things are kind of going okay. This country's kind of doing good, and then we got peace breaking out. The hell, he's meet with Kim again. I mean, nobody ever thought that was possible, and these guys are. They're pretty much the same type of guys. I mean, they're pretty much. I knew they'd hit it off because they're both like, they're both megalomaniacs. Both have big egos and everything. And how could they not get along? I mean, they both understand each other. So I mean, So I mean, I don't know if anything's going to get really worked out. But I'll tell you what, just having that dialogue and having the lines of communication open between someone that has nuclear weapons and yourself. That's always a great idea because again, not necessarily we have to worry about say him having a weapon that maybe could hit L.A. or Hawaii, but he could definitely. I mean, his weapons can definitely hit Tokyo, and even if it's not that accurate, so what if it's not accurate? So he hits the suburbs, or he could definitely hit Seoul. And you're talking millions of people dead. I mean, you'd have so many millions of people dead so fast it would make everybody's head spin. So I mean, it's good to be. I mean, as long as these guys, hey, I don't care how concrete it gets on denuclearization. As long as these guys are talking, they're hanging out. Kim starts seeing. He's going to be in Vietnam. He's going to see all the benefits that Vietnam's going to say, "Hey, look, man, you are where we were in 1976, okay, and look where we are now. Look around, okay. We embrace market forces. We embrace trading with the West. They're still a communist dictatorship. They have the Chinese model. But he goes, look, you can still be a dictator, and you can still have all this, and just be open and stuff, and allow people some rights and everything, and open your place up for tourism, build a couple of ski resorts. I don't know, whatever. Vietnam makes a ton of money on American tourism.
Yeah.
Plus all the trade they do, and they make all kinds of stuff that we buy, of course, for whatever reason, but we buy it, and so it's good. I'm glad they're going to Vietnam for that. I'm really glad
Yeah.
going up to Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, I think that's where they're
Well,
going.
they've been trying for a long time to open Vietnam to the markets for a while, because there's like if I'm not mistaken, isn't there like a cane or something that grows out there, like a sugar cane, or like a I'm sorry, I don't know much about that part of my geography on that part of the world is very off, but isn't there like seeds or something that they've been wanting to try and get out of Vietnam for a long time, that
You
they've
know
been
that.
wanting to open to the markets?
Yeah, that I don't know. I have no idea. I mean,
Hmm.
I have no idea. I think
Hmm.
they probably have like a lot of factories. Like say Taiwan or China. They make a lot of they make a lot of crap that we buy. The kind of stuff you go to
Hmm.
Walmart. Probably a lot of it's made in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. But
Yeah.
I think. I can't remember if he was doing a deal with Vietnam. I think he was doing a bilateral trade deal with Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken, because he did bilateral deal with
Hmm.
Japan, with South Korea already. Of course, we know we're working on the
Yeah.
Chinese thing, and I can't
Oh,
remember. I can't,
Japan.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I can't remember if
No, I was going to
I
say,
can't remember. I can't remember if he worked out if they worked out a deal with Vietnam already, or if they were in the
hmm
process of working out a new bilateral trade agreement with Vietnam. I can't remember that.
yeah,
So. Oh
I
wait,
think Japan is
GT 469 says opium. They're trying to get opium out
opium. Yeah.
of.
Um, the interesting thing, the Japanese have pretty much said, where they stand on globalism, and they're always going to be a capitalist society unless they have a radical change in their, people's ideology.
Right.
I mean, some of the, like that's one of the like Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owen, they do great work. I mean, they're more better for the younger generation, because they've actually helped a lot of the millennial generation open their eyes to why capitalism is a good thing. The flow of free markets, and the ability to better yourself, the ability to get someone to invest in your idea. You know what I mean, and
Right.
and that's a good thing. We need more like we need more organizations like Turning Point USA. I mean, because right now, as it stands, you can't even reason with these progressives, these far left liberals. They're so committed to the ideology of socialism that if you were to say, hey, look, we'll be a socialist country in the next 2 weeks. Here's your, chop your hand off, and we'll be, I mean, just a figure of speech, but chop your hand off, we'll be a socialist country in 2 weeks. You know how many of these people would be sticking their hand out for that? Because they think it's morally right in the direction we should go,
Right.
I'm like, that's how indoctrinated these people are in this mindset, I mean, you try and tell them, well, did it ever occur to you that you're able to talk on an $800 cell phone, or you're able to drive a $25,000-$30,000 car, and, you have capitalism to thank for that,
Right.
And, oh, go ahead.
No. Yeah.
Um, you know, but it's like I've seen some people talk about, well, democratic socialism. Okay, well, first off, we're a republic. We're not a democrat. You know what I'm saying? We're a republic. And you talk about democratic socialism, and all it is just another fancy term from saying, hey, look, we want to control you. We want bigger government.
Right.
And what are you going to do? Vote for one worse idea over the next idea? I mean, Bernie Sanders, everybody thinks that Bernie Sanders running again is a neat, wonderful thing. This man ain't even going to make it out of the primaries. You got so many diverse candidates, and the left hate older white men. I love how George Behar says that. Old white man says the old woman married to an old white man. You know what I'm saying? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her boyfriend's white. And these
Yeah.
are the people that demonize white people.
Well, you're right. I mean, you got to kind of practice. You got to practice what you preach. I mean, you can't say, "Gee,
Yeah.
old white people are awful." Then or like Don Lemon, like old white people are terrible, and or white. I don't think. Well, actually, Don Lemon didn't say old. He just said white men, and
Yeah.
he's married to a white guy, and he lives his neighborhood he
Yeah.
lives in is like 93% white people. Where he
Yeah.
lives. So
Yeah.
you got if you want to be consistent. I mean, I guess you can move to the hood. I mean, I guess you could do that
Yep.
to keep it real. I mean, not just move to like a middle class black neighborhood. Just go all the way real and just like move to the hood. Like just go up to I'm sure instead of where he lives, he could live like in Hartford, some really nasty places there.
Yeah.
You know, he lives in Connecticut, so he just go right down the street to Hartford. You know, go live over near some projects. You know, he could do that and then live the experience, and then have some fun.
Yeah.
And then he can get up on his high horse after he comes out and his car's gone.
Yeah. And the funny thing too about, especially with these primaries, it's going to be funny to see how the DNC tries to distance themselves from all these progressive candidates and even these moderates like Warren. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to disperse money to each candidate to run smear campaign ads against each other. You watch, the DNC's not going to have any part of that. And these candidates are going to be left.
Yeah, well, I mean, the DNC is not supposed to donate money to one specific candidate during the primaries. Or if they do, they're supposed to donate it equally across the board. I mean, obviously, we learned from the emails, from the WikiLeaks email leaks, that wasn't happening. They were just, pretty much. Well, what was going on was the DNC was broke. President Obama left the DNC broke. Okay, so when Clinton came in, the DNC had no money to offer to anybody. They were literally broke. So Clinton came in and made a deal with them and said, look, the Clinton team, probably not her herself, but the Clinton team came and said, look, okay, we'll fund you, but then the money that we fund you with, through our donations or whatever, is going to come back to us. And also, we call the shots.
Yeah.
That's how they were able to call the shots.
Yeah.
Remember all the debates in the beginning, like Sanders and that other guy were complaining because she didn't want to debate in prime time during the week. She wanted to do it like on Saturday night or doing like Monday Night Football because she already had the name recognition. She didn't want to give any name recognition to people like Sanders and that. I can't remember the other guy's name, who were running. So we'll do it like Saturday night, like at whatever, when nobody's watching TV, So so that's how that went. But the DNC is supposed to be a neutral arbiter during the primary season. I think they're going to be under much more of a microscope now to make sure they are in fact neutral. But yeah, I don't know how much money they have. But I mean, see, Mitch McConnell is doing that vote. It's either this week or he's going to do it next week. Where because that resolution that Ocasio-Cortez brought up was also co-sponsored by Senator Markey from Massachusetts. So it's in this. So he filed it. He filed it. And normally he figured, McConnell will never give this thing a vote. He'll never let it get out of committee or never get it. He'll definitely won't let it get on the floor. So McConnell, devious McConnell that he is, said, I think this is important. I think we need to put this on the floor for a vote. I mean, he just went right past the committee hearings, everything. So he's going to make all the Democrats go up, yes or no, up or down on this to either say they're voting in favor of it. He's probably not going to allow any amendments to it either. He goes, no, straight up on the bill itself. That's it. And let's see who's going to go on the record and say, yeah, I'm voting for all this stupid shit. And it's a really funny thing. Markey figured McConnell will never let this get to the floor, but McConnell did a checkmate on Markey and the other Democrats, including Harris and all those people, because now they can't just say, I was in favor of it, but no, I didn't like some parts of it. No, now they got to vote on it. So they can't. You can't hide from that. The first debate's going to be, I saw you voted for this. Are you aware of this provision in here? Dunk, dunk, dunk. I mean, the whole 10 yards. So this is a great job McConnell's doing. He's gonna rub it right in their face. He's gonna make them go on the record and vote up or down on this.
It's funny. It seemed like McConnell was a rhino. He just needed to be reeled back in, just like Ted Cruz. They were kind of going off in that rhino name recognition, and then they just kind of got reeled back in by Trump.
Yeah, well, McConnell's about power, so he licks his finger, sticks it up in the air, sees which way the wind is blowing. And also I think what happened to him, remember they went after him and his wife a couple of times. One right outside their house. His wife had to get up in people's faces, leave my husband alone. That's the last thing. And then they were in that restaurant. That guy came up and started harassing the two of them. Plus Scalise got zapped by that Bernie Sanders supporter when he went to shoot all the Republicans up. And McConnell walking through an airport gets harassed all the time. I think he's like, F these people. You know what? I'm tired of them.
Yeah.
Screw that. So I hope you're right. I hope McConnell's realizing he's got to pick a side.
What's really funny, and I know we talked about this last time, but when the right pushes back, the left cower. And I remember a while back when we were talking about those two examples, like how all those bikers showed up by the thousands during Arizona,
Right.
Antifa didn't mess with them. They were like, they were cringing. And that same thing with that militia group that showed up. They showed up armed, to make sure families were going to be safe. The left cower when the right pushes back. Because when the right pushes back, they push back with force.
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody wants to push back. People just want to be left,
alone.
The hell alone. They want to have their weapons. They want to have their religion. They don't want to be constantly demonized because of their beliefs. And this
Right.
is something these liberals don't get, you know?
Right. No, I totally
you know,
agree. It's like I think if most people. Oh, by the way, how does everybody like that picture of that turkey spinning around there on the site? It's
Turkey?
you know,
Is that
no.
protest?
If you look on
I
the
didn't see
site,
it.
if you look on the site right now,
Mhm.
I got a turkey spinning around on the bottom of the screen.
So, you know, Carl, I got to ask for forgiveness. I insulted a turkey by calling it Alexander Ocasio Cortez. Everybody, forgive me in the chat. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I've been a douchebag all day.
You've been a douchebag.
But,
Oh, you missed it last night,
yeah.
man. You missed it last night. I had to zap like four trolls off the chat room site last night.
Man, so do I really attract them that much? I mean, is
Yeah,
it really
well,
loud?
you left a comment on there, and then you split, and then like they all followed you over here rather, and then
Oh,
like you
Carl,
know,
I'm sorry about that.
yeah, so it's like,
Uh-huh.
hey, if you're gonna bring them over, stick around and take care of them for me. Don't like leave a comment, bring them
Oh,
over.
Carl, my apologies. I'm sorry. I didn't even know they follow me. You know what I'm saying? See, I guess I must have a fan base in the troll community. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think so. I think they just
You
looked to
know?
see where you go, and they thought you were still here, so they came over, and then
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with them. So I just
Oh,
I
sorry
just
about that, Carl. My bad.
yeah. So I just 86
My
all. It was
bad. I'm
like
sorry.
yeah, I just 86 all four of them.
But
So
hmm I just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Nunya. She does some really great live streams. And like I was telling her the other day, everybody's voice matters. We all have a stake in the future of our country. Because we all love freedom. We all love our great, great nation. That this is all we have. I mean, we have to treat our nation like we do our own home. We have to try and educate people. We have to try and um, bring people together. I mean, people have to understand. See, and that's where I kind of go back to where I said before, like, I've had people that have asked me questions about certain things, and I try to give it from like a libertarian's point of view, because I am a libertarian. But if they go to someone like Derek Grayson, because Derek Grayson gives it, he gives it like very direct, and that's not how you want to try and win people over. There's a way to get the truth to somebody without going off and saying, well, this side thing is wrong, because, like I support people being able to marry who they want to marry. I mean, anybody, like if somebody in the LGBT community, like if a man wants to marry a man and that man makes him happy, that's one of the beautiful things about our country, the pursuit of happiness.
right, yeah, go
I
for it,
mean,
man. Have a nice day. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, be happy. Life is short. These liberals, and with their talking points, or I'm sorry, I should say these progressives. These
Just
far
say
left
call them what they are.
progressives.
Leftists. These leftists. There we go.
Yeah. Marxist left is more like it, but
No, actually,
like
you're
these
right.
college,
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
you know, they don't, they think that they're virtue signaling. They have to constantly virtue signal. I mean, why? What do they? What are they racist? Do they have to constantly prove to the world that they're not racist? I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I know what I am.
Well, yeah.
I know that I try to.
I've always said people who virtue signal have no virtue.
Mm-hmm,
If you had
yeah.
virtue, you don't have to go around. It's like that. The old saying, when I was growing up, is like always be wary of the person who sings too loud in church. You know,
Yeah.
who just
Yeah.
sings too loud,
Yeah.
prays too loud. It's like, what's going on over there? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you
Yeah.
trying to hide? What are you trying to cover up by saying how great of a person you are? Well, I've always said, scratch a liberal, you'll find a racist. Underneath. I mean, that's all you
Yeah.
got to do.
Yeah.
Because the northeastern liberal, the worst. They treat
Mm-hmm,
everybody except for their own race like their children. And they have no respect. They
yeah.
have no respect for anybody else, and they think they're children. They
Yeah.
need to have their hand held. They don't think they're men, and that's actually a bigger form of racism. Like it's almost like they're signing off on was that T.S. Eliot's "White Man's Burden." Like, oh well, it's our
Yeah.
burden. We got to help these people because they're not as smart as we are. Well, that's about as racist as you can
Yeah.
get. So you know what, but
Yeah.
that's the northeastern liberal for you. Instead of just saying, hey,
Yeah.
look, conservatives, we're like, hey, you know what? We'll hold our hand out for you, but we're not going to give you a handout. But we'll give you a hand up.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you have
Yeah.
every opportunity in the world to succeed in this country. And hey, if somebody's trying to hold you back, let us know. We got laws in place. We'll go take care of it. We'll get it done. That's the way conservatives look at it. We judge behavior. We don't judge race or ethnicity. We don't judge color. We don't care. I mean, look, we're very visual people. You're going to see things like if you see, I always use the example. If you see a car going by, you're not going to say, "Oh, look at that car go by." You can say, "Oh, look at that red car. Look at that blue car. Look at that green car." Because your first senses you get before you hear something or smell something or touch something is you see it, because your eyes can reach out further than your hand or your scent. We're not deer. What I mean? You can't smell stuff, half a mile away and go, "I better get out of here." So I mean, so you're going to see things, and that's how we initially separate things in our mind, is by visual recognition. So you're always going to have that. People say, "Oh, I don't see color." Well, you're always going to see it, because that's what your eyes do. Your eyes separate things out for you. That's what happens. But the question is, how do you act on that sight? If you can say, "Okay, look, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what ethnicity you are. What is your behavior? Are you a good person? Do you work for a living? Do you have a business? Do you keep your kids in line?" That kind of stuff. So, if I have a neighbor and I know he's working just like I am, he has to get up in the morning and go to work. Well, I know he's not going to let his kids blast the stereo at 2:00 in the morning, because he's got to get up and go to work too. But now if I have a neighbor who doesn't work and sits on his ass all day and collects a government check, and he doesn't give a shit about his kids and sleeps and stays awake at different times of the day, depending on or some meth freak. And where I live, I have a lot of methamphetamine users up here. It's about an 80% white town, and meth is their drug of choice. If I got some meth guy living next to me, I don't want that. I don't give a shit what ethnic group he's in. I'd rather have some hardworking guy, regardless of color, because I know he's going to keep his kids in line. He's going to keep his yard looking good. He's not going to turn his house into a trash dump, and there's not going to be a bunch of cars going back and forth down the street all at different hours of the night, trying to score some drugs. So, the big thing for me is always behaving. 'Cause that's the way conservatives think. It's like, hey, man. And if you got a better idea, if you're offering services and I get it at a better quality for a cheaper price, I'm going to go to your store. I'm going to frequent your place. I was talking to this one guy on Black YouTube. He actually interviewed me, and he was saying, this guy thinks white people are awful, but he was telling me he's a heavy equipment mechanic, and he has his own shop. And he said, he told me, he told me that 65% of his clients are white people. And I said, "Wait, you mean those white racist people? They go in your store and give you money even though you're black?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, gee, maybe they're just judging you by the fact you do a better job for a better price than some white guy down the street. Maybe that's the answer. The answer is right in front of him, and you can't see it. I mean, literally right in front of him when he's at his counter, and some guy comes in to give him money to hire him. He's still not seeing it. I'm like, what are you missing?"
Well, it's like, there's people that are, it's like me. I'm not college educated, but I have enough to know what is going on, you know what I'm saying? Because I've done my research, and when you can look at certain talking points and you can look at how people behave and see how people are conducting themselves, it's not hard to see what is happening around you, I mean, sometimes, and I know I say this a lot, but wisdom sometimes is more important than being book smart, See, many of these progressives, they have it in their mind that somebody who makes millions of dollars knows better than you and see things better than you. And really, couldn't be further from the truth, I mean, you see some of these celebrities, I mean, it's like, okay, some of these progressives look at, let's look at Rosie O'Donnell, for example. The lady that leaves potholes in the ground every time she goes jogging.
Right.
No, sorry, I had to say that. She's about as liberal a whack job as you can get. And she sits here and she's donated money to the DNC, and a lot of these progressives, they look at her and they're like, oh wow, she makes millions of dollars and she must know what she's talking about. So I'm just going to follow what Rosie O'Donnell suggests, and that's where they use their movie stars, and they use the Hollywood and all to further this agenda. I mean, because reality television, people think, well, this is what real world is, and they don't understand that this is scripted, but the situation may be based on real life or somebody's going through, but it's all scripted. It's not. I mean, think about it. This woman is showing her life, and then they show her out getting a job, and well, I understand. I got to provide for my child. Doesn't it ever dawn on these liberals that she's being paid to do a TV show?
Right.
Doesn't it dawn on? You know what I mean? They don't. They can't see it for the life of me in front of them. They can't. I mean, they show they might show Pookie or some of these stupid nicknames that they come up with. Oh, I'm going to go get my car. The car. Then they're showing them in an interview. Hey, the car I got is messed up. And I'm going to go see if I can buy one. Hello, you're on a TV show. You make who knows how much. Several $1,000s an episode. You couldn't go buy a car.
Right.
But see, in their mind, this is what they're going through. They don't realize these progressive or this younger generation. I think the younger generation is 70%. I haven't seen the numbers, but 70% progressive, I would say, maybe 65. It's still a substantial population, number among the whole population of the United States when you think about it.
Yeah.
But they can't see that these people have several $1,000s and they can just go out and buy a car, whenever they want. Heck, they're probably doing better than we are. Obviously, but it's that indoctrination and how effective it is with, the talking points in school. They take some of the worst parts of capitalism and then they just magnify it tenfold, and they try to, I mean, I'm sorry, Carl, I know I'm overloading information.
No,
and
you're
I'm
good.
getting off topic. But see, it all goes back to how, the immigration issues and things like that, and how, these people are poor. They should come here. They should be allowed to come here. They do jobs that Americans won't do, which that part is somewhat true to a degree, you know what I mean? But there's still overall, many Americans who can't get those jobs because, they're being taken by illegal immigrants. I mean, granted, a lot of, you don't see a lot of Americans picking, fruit, except maybe the farmers that, but, they don't see that, well, we got people here who might want a job, and it's like people who go overseas to adopt. I mean, I know it's expensive here to adopt a child, but there are a lot of children here who, would love to have a family care about them.
Well, actually, actually, if you say you say if you adopt a special needs kid, let me tell you, you can get even up here, like in the rural counties, because I did an adoption on a special needs kid, and you can get a free attorney. Okay, because I got appointed on that. You get a free attorney, and your filing fees are waived. Okay. And they pay for all kinds of services. So if you want, let's see, what's this guy? We guys should just take the bill too. That's funny, but yeah. So if you want to adopt like a special needs kid, namely a kid who was born to a drug mom or something like that, then you get all that for free. So it doesn't cost you a dime. In fact, you get paid some money to do it, and they give you a stipend every month. It's not a lot of money, but they give you a stipend every month to help with the additional care he might need. And of course, the kid automatically qualifies for Medicaid as well. So for any of the treatment, because the kid's going to need treatment and stuff. The kid's hooked on meth, through no fault of his own. His mom was taking meth while she was pregnant. So I mean, there's a lot of kids like that. Now that's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the kid's going to have all kinds of behavioral problems and everything else. And it's going to be a lot of work to do this. Yeah. But it can be done, and so it doesn't. So, you don't have to go across halfway across the planet to adopt a kid. There's plenty of adoption agencies here. And if you have to qualify, but if you're not, part of the qualification necessarily is that you're rich, but you can definitely, come across here. You can always become a foster parent. And they get paid to be people get paid to be foster parents. So even if you maybe don't get to adopt a kid, you can at least help a kid out who had to be taken away from his parents through a CPS investigation. I've seen a lot of those cases. Those are the worst cases you do as an attorney, are the CPS cases. Some parents I represent were just totally screwed over by the system. They maybe had some weed in the house, and it was kind of stupid. And CPS got a little overhanded with it, and in those cases you have to fight. But for the most part, a lot of the people that are in CPS court need to be in CPS court. They're not take care of the kids. They go to the house. There's no food in the house. There's no milk in the house. There's old fast food in the refrigerator. The kids got beat marks on them. The kids, there's drugs in the house. The kids around this, so a lot of people in CPS court are there for a reason. Yeah, Amy, I see that because I remember. Yeah, you worked for a firm that I believe you were, or public defender's office where I guess you. Yeah, that's right. You were actually working hands-on with those. Yeah, but those are the worst cases, and most of the people in CPS court need to be in CPS court. So you could become a foster parent, and you could, help take care of the kids while their parents are going through are going through the process. And then if it turns out that their rights are going to be terminated, or they want to voluntarily terminate their rights, then you can always petition for adoption. And considering you've been like the foster parent for a termination case to occur, it has to be a minimum 1 year to 2 years before a state could file a termination case. So if you've been that foster parent for a year, 2 years, most times 2 years, you've been a foster parent for 2 years, CPS comes in and says, yeah, that's the person we want, and they're going to provide all kinds of services for you as well. So that doesn't cost you a lot of money. And while you're a foster parent, I think you get paid something like $400 a month per child. So, that gives you the money to be able to offset the cost of that.
So. The globalists have done so much damage to the family unit, just our youth in general. Fathers not in the homes, being raised by, even raised by single fathers and mothers. You know what I'm saying? Mostly mothers, I know, but people live this. This is one of the reasons why I never, ever will ever get married, because of the way people are, that's a whole other subject, but, you have people who feel entitled, and people who, they think society, and in a way, I could see the frustration, but you know what? They are the ones that have to do something about it. They can't just, society owes me this, I'm not going to do this because of my life. You can't use that as a crutch, You have to find a way to uplift yourself, and that's the problem. They don't teach about, how you can lift yourself back up when you're down in the dumps, they don't, everybody, I understand everybody's situation is different. That's true too, but there's always a way, there's always opportunity, it's like, some of the homeless in this country, you have people that live homeless because it's a life. It's not one I want, but you have people who live homeless because that's what they want to do. They want to be drunk. They want to be, on drugs all the time. And a normal life would interfere with that, in their eyes. But, there's help for them to get off the street if they want to.
Yeah. Anything. Look, in my town, and we're a rural community. We're 60 miles from Las Vegas, but it's almost like we're 600 miles from Las Vegas, based on the lack of services we have here. But even in this town with 37,000 people, there are all kinds of services available. I was talking to one guy, and he goes, well, I couldn't, they didn't do this for me. They didn't do this for me. They didn't do this for me. I said, well, did you go and ask them? Were you proactive, or were you waiting for them to come and give you something? I'm just telling this guy the way it is. I go, look, if those are my kids, you think I'd be sitting around waiting around for somebody to give me something to help me get my kids back? No, I'd be over that CPS office every day saying, okay, what can I do? Tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. Well, we need to get you drug rehabilitation. Okay, give me about 10 phone numbers of places I can call, and I'm going to make sure I get to them. Well, some of them are in Vegas, they're like an hour away. Okay, I'll find a way to get there. I'll find a way to get there. I'll get a ride. People can find rides to get lots of places. People. Well, I don't have good transportation. Well, you found a way to get a ride to drive to your drug dealer's house to get your drugs. Yeah. You can't find a ride to get somebody to drive you down. Not to mention, even in this town, again, we're 60 miles away. Lots of people drive down to Vegas to do real shopping and stuff like that. So you can always find somebody, guarantee you that, hey, can I catch a ride with you next time you go to Vegas? Yeah, I'm going this day. So you call CPS, say, hey, next Tuesday at like I could be in Vegas at 10 a.m. Can you get something set up for me? I guarantee they will.
Yep.
So I mean, those services are available if you want them. Now, the first thing you have to do is admit you have a problem. A lot of these people, and a lot of people don't want to stop doing drugs. They know they have, and even when they know they have a problem, they don't want to. They want to stop. You know, that's how you end up with so. That's why when you see people like, oh, there are a lot of people in prison on simple drug possession or simple under the influence. Well, no, because the first time you get charged with a under the influence or a possession, and you go to district court, in every state I know of, you have like what's called the diversion program. So you plead guilty to the charge, but you don't get adjudicated a felon. And so then if you can take advantage of the services, go through a drug court program or an outpatient drug rehabilitation program, which is paid for by the state, and you don't test positive for 3 years. I mean, sometimes, and even when they do test positive, like say they test positive once, okay, sometimes they'll give, okay, tell you what, we'll give you 25 days in jail, dry you out, and you're back in the drug court program, you're back on diversion. We're not going to violate you off your probation. Nobody gets violated the first time. I don't care who you are. They just don't. Yeah. So they generally, like Las Vegas, they have a rule. It's like an unwritten rule. It's not by statute. In Clark County, in Las Vegas, it takes 3 violations of your probation before they even file a formal probation violation report with the judge. 3 times you have to violate. 3 times you have to do something you weren't supposed to do. You know, in Nye County, we're a lot tougher, but still, they still work with you. You know, they still work with you. So I mean, anybody can do that. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like I had a I had a cousin. You know, she's passed away now, but I had a cousin who was, you know, kind of in and out of jail a lot, and my goddaughter is a cousin I kind of grew up with, you know, and my goddaughter I think is kind of starting to see life from a different light after she went to live with her dad. And saw that her dad is I don't know much about him. I haven't seen him in years, you know. But, you know, they never really got along, but she went and lived with him anyway and came back. But I think she's kind of starting to see things in a different light now that, you know, it isn't, you know, you have to get out and make something of yourself. You know, I say, you know, I always tell her, look, I'm always going to be here for you, but one day I ain't going to be here, you know. But I look at it like this, you know, because I had to go through it too. It took me time, but I had to go through it too, you know. You can provide people the opportunity, but it has to be them that wants to, you know, do it. They have to make themselves do it. They have to discipline themselves to start budgeting, start living life, not beyond their means, but within their means, even less being, you know, within their means sometimes, you know.
Right.
I mean, I know people who, you know, they'll go to a buffet. They don't even grocery shop. They'll go to a buffet and eat a big meal and then won't eat, you know, for a day or two. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's not the healthiest way to be, but
no, it's not.
Some people do that to stretch their dollar, you know, I mean, stretch their money, you know. I mean, you know, people are doing what they got to do to survive. It's always been that way, you know, but you really can't you know, people have to understand that, you know, if you're not managing your money or you're not doing things, you know, the way you know you should be doing them, then the problem is with that person, not because of Whitey, not because of, you know, because of Donald Trump, but because of that person. And people are, I mean, you know, and that's the victim mentality, you know, that people have been conditioned. You know, well, it's always somebody else's fault, you know. I mean, you really can't, you know, I mean, it just, we live in such an ignorant, polarized society that I don't even know how people get up and put their socks on, you know, with some of these things that people just, you know, the thing, you know, the thing that gets me, especially with some of these people that, you know, I mean, you know, every once in a while you get somebody who's done hard time and they want to, you know, they got some kind of renewed faith in life, or they got something that that hit them. Hey, you know, I'm missing out on my kid's life, or I'm missing out on, you know, the freedom. You know, hey, I'm missing out on getting to eat tacos every day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I can't do that behind bars. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are silly talking points of mine, but I'm just using this as an example that, you know, people got to find something to motivate. You know, they got to you know, you got to have, you know, some people say, well, I got nothing to live for. Well, you know, find something to live for. You know.
No, I agree.
Find
I tell you
something-
what, there, Mr. Douchebag. I got Nonia sitting there. She just called in. I'm going to give her a call back here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm going to give her a
Oh,
holler.
yes. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Mr.
All right.
Douchebag. Thanks for the phone call, and I'm going to hit Nonia up right now.
Okay. All right. I'll see you back in the chat. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Is this Nonia business?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Are you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here. Okay. So Skippy started talking about, or maybe you were the one who brought it up, the parole stuff.
Right.
And Nathan had just told me when he came home on Friday about some things that it sort of like correlated. So, you know, technology, of course, is advancing, but the states are always well behind the curve when it comes to that. They're always like 10 years in the past with the technology, right?
Right.
And so they are working on a computer program that goes through the language for when the parole officers fill out their forms and stuff concerning people.
Right.
And so there's certain repeat things. I'm trying to say this in as smart a way as I can. There's certain words come up often with people who violate parole stuff. So let's say like the word alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't supposed to have alcohol when they're on their parole thing. And so like alcohol comes up regularly. And when alcohol is mentioned regularly in the report, it also correlates with domestic violence maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to say? So they have all this stuff that they put into a computer that goes through and says, okay, these people, and then when they violate their stuff, they end up going back in. And so it's sort of like a language learning kind of a program that's being built to say, so that the parole board can more easily identify people who should be up first in the parole hearings versus people that they should be like, well, you'll get your chance next month because we got these other 5 people in front of you, that kind of a situation.
Right.
But the problem is that the language only pulls certain key words, i.e. like alcohol, and doesn't show some of the other things.
Okay.
So there could be there's like 5 or 6 other sections, and the way they've got it programmed right now, somebody who, well, all they did was drink, that's okay. We'll bring them back up on parole. But it doesn't show, well, when they got drunk, then they went and they beat up a guy at a liquor store to get the alcohol, because it just, the program, it's not human enough, or it's not advanced enough as of yet and stuff. So that's something that my husband's been working on, but he's having issues with some of the old school higher ups because, you know, it's all bureaucratic red tape when you're working for the state.
Right.
Trying to explain things to them. So right now, the program that they're pushing through actually is not going to work the way they want it to, and it's being debunked because everybody's, you know, I know more than you, I've been here longer than you kind of attitude.
Right. Basically, everybody's finding their own turf.
Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting, though, that it doesn't seem that they actually give 2 cents about making sure that the right people stay in, and then the right people who need to come out. They're just more concerned about how they look with their computer knowledge and language and ability because they're all behind the times. My husband, at 45, he is one of the youngest people working in his department by far.
Oh, wow.
Not that being young means anything.
No, so at 45, he's one of the youngest people in there.
Yeah, by a long shot.
Oh,
but the problem seems to be most of the people who are the higher ups working there, who are the ones controlling, well, we'll let this kind of stuff go. They don't understand like the AI kind of stuff that it takes to make these programs more efficient. Is super difficult and really confusing. And my husband struggles with it, and he's still going to school for a lot of stuff. Like he goes back to school every now and then. because you have to in that
Right.
field. If you don't keep up with what's going on, you get left behind. So they're all left behind. They don't want to listen. Everything is in the dark ages. And it's worrisome to me on a personal level that when he explained how their stuff works, when people come up to who gets to get out early versus who doesn't,
Right.
and everything is just so, they're trying to use technology and they won't use the right technology. It would be better off if they just stuck with good old-fashioned human labor. But, they always want to cut back on the labor force and all that other kind of stuff. It's a mess. It is a total mess. It's going to be years, I think, before any of that stuff gets straightened out. But I thought that was interesting because you made me think of it, and I felt like I had something to actually add.
Well, you always have something to add when you call in or do a video link, but no. Well, the problem is, anytime the government runs something, everybody wants the corner office. Everybody wants, to get that promotion. Everybody doesn't want, everybody wants to feel important. And, maybe the guy in the cubicle next to you or the office next to you, maybe he has a better idea, but you're not going to like help him with his idea because you want to be the person to come up with the idea. It's human nature. And it seems like, in the private sector, you can take care of that kind of problem quicker, faster. In the private sector, if you got somebody who's being obstructionist, who's blocking what other people are trying to do or keeping the best ideas from getting to the top, they get fired. But in a government job, like I was town attorney, and trying to fire somebody even for misconduct, requires you have to, human resources. You have to give a written warning. You have to do this, that, the other. Excuse me, I didn't smoke enough cigarettes today. That's why I'm coughing. But
You're
anyway,
fine.
but you have to go. Then you have to have a hearing. Then they get an attorney, and then if they're part of like a city worker, city or employee union or something like that, then they have a union rep. I mean, it's a big deal. And so by the time all that gets done, then that person, you're almost like, gee, what should we even try to fire this person? So you leave bad people in place because you rather just, instead of going through the hassle of firing them because they're incompetent, they're left there. That's why, like with the veterans, that's why, you can never fire the incompetent people. And Trump said, I can't remember how many thousands of people Trump said they fired with the Veterans Administration. They just had to, because they weren't allowed to, in the past. And then they passed that bill and went through Congress. Both parties voted for it. So it allows them to get fired. And so they're cleaning that mess up. But it's going to take years, even with that, because people were so entrenched for so many years, happy just to be pushing paper and not getting anything done. So I could feel the pain your husband's going through, being in an environment like that. That's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of working on some stuff, and hopefully things will get better. But yeah, it's super frustrating, especially when, like you said, somebody wants to look better. So like he has to go through his boss, who goes to the next boss, who goes to the higher up boss. Right. And it would just be easier just to go straight to the big boss and say, hey, is this a good idea or not? But then they always get all threatened, like you said, because they don't understand some of the stuff that, technology is just, it's advancing too fast for them. And in the state, most people, it seems like they go there to retire. Once you get in the state, you're golden. You never have to advance your knowledge or your learning or anything. As long as you show up and you don't step on anyone's toes, you've got a job for life.
Yeah, people know that.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, because people aren't willing to take risks, come up with new ideas. Because if your new idea gets shot down, then suddenly, or you have to step on somebody's toes to bring that new idea to the forefront, then you're out. So versus like, well, if I just sit here, keep my mouth shut, don't cause anybody any trouble, I don't have to work, and you don't want to work too hard, because then your coworkers get pissed off at you because you're getting too much done too fast. You're making them look bad, and then they'll find a way to try to sabotage you. You'll come into the office and some paper you left in like on your outbox is now gone. And you think, well, somebody came and grabbed it, and then a week later your boss is like, hey, where's that report you were supposed to write for me? Or you'll come in and your password's changed on your computer. And then you got people sabotaging you left and right, and then you get disgruntled, and eventually you leave, which is they wanted, and they get somebody in there, they tell them, just toe the line, just don't do as little as possible, and you'll be good here. Otherwise, we're going to get rid of you too. And that's the shame of it.
That is exactly right. Nathan will get projects done a week or two ahead, because he just likes to sit down, get it done, and get it over with.
Right.
But he sits on it, and he waits. He learned his first couple months when he first got in. He learned to sit on it and wait.
Yep.
Until right just when the deadline is and everybody's scrambling, then he releases it and goes, "Phew, I'm so glad I made it." Yeah, he totally has to play the part of being a state employee because he got knocked around a little when he first got in. This was 3 years ago now.
Yeah, he's too much of a go-getter. Too much of a go-getter, and that makes everybody else look bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got that part down pretty good and stuff. But, it's just frustrating because, he's got morals. And so when he sees like, hey, the stuff you guys are using, you're letting bad people back out on the streets, and they shouldn't be allowed back out on the streets because you're not paying attention to the different stuff. And they're going, no, we know what's best. It's just like, oh, geez.
Yeah. No, I feel his pain. I'm sorry. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
I know I interned in a city manager's office back when I was in college a gazillion years ago. And there was this one woman in there, and they assigned me to work for her. And right away, she felt threatened. Meanwhile, I'm still in college. I'm like a junior. I'm not like rushing in to take her job. But, she made it. She was my direct supervisor. And I realized, I wasn't going to learn anything with her because she wasn't giving me anything to do. Every morning I go in her office, hey, you got something for me to do? I'm interning here. Hey, you got free work. Just give me whatever. Tell me you got to, go to the store and get you some coffee. I don't care. No, I got nothing yet. Nothing yet. So finally, I'm sitting there, and I was kind of an asshole even back then. And I'm like, well, screw this. I mean, this is my class. I'm getting credits for this, but I came here because I wanted to learn about city government. Plus, I got to write a paper when I get done, and I got turned in as like half my grade. So I'm like, what am I going to write about? I sat in the office all day, did nothing. So then I went and found somebody down the hall, and she was not in my unit, but she was working on some project for code compliance. She was trying to put together code compliance laws for the city of Riverside. First time we were going to have it. So I went down the hall and started talking to her. And sure enough, I go, hey, you got something for me to do? She goes, aren't you working? I go, I got nothing to do. I tell you what, if she gives me something, I'll have to stop. But until then, hey, I'll be your slave. And she goes, hey, great. So she goes, okay, look, I'm trying to, get this from another city and try to duplicate what they're doing and stuff like that. And so I said, okay. So I just started doing my own research, and found the city of Anaheim had a really good code compliance thing. And this is back before, this is in the 80s, so it's not like you could just scan stuff and, PDF it, whatever. So I'm learning. I had to learn pretty much who to go to, word processors and stuff. And I got this whole beautiful thing done. And I turned it into her, and she goes, "Wow, that's great," right? And then sure enough, it's like maybe, and then I get recognized actually by the city manager at a meeting. And so then this woman comes to me, what have you been working on? I go, well, you haven't given me anything. She was all mad at me. I go, what do you do? Fire me? I'm an intern, I go, and,
yeah,
good luck, So anyway, but yeah, because she was threatened just by me being in the room, and I'm an intern, and so she wasn't giving me anything to do. And so I'm sure your husband runs into that too, where the guy above him is threatened by the fact that if this guy works really good, he may take my job. So I got to kind of not give him anything too important to do, and if he doesn't, make sure I take credit for it. It's just crap.
Yeah, well, he does do stuff that's important, but everybody else does take credit for the stuff that gets pushed out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's just in realization. And same thing happens with he told me about the interns too at his place and how he feels bad for them because they go through, there's like 5 interns at any given time, mm-hmm. and he can't even keep up with them because they're constantly, it's a rotating door with these poor kids, and they always just get set to the side and stood around the water cooler and listening to like the latest episode of The Walking Dead or something, because just everybody, they just don't want it. They don't want to be seen as obsolete because they know that they are. So right. In order to keep their stuff, they just keep everything down. It's a sad thing. And it probably won't be until they're good and gone and a couple generations behind come through that anything actually starts to get upgraded to even half the point that the rest of us out here in the real world are. So,
oh, well.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and...
All righty, young lady. Oh, you're done. Okay. Well, hey, thanks. Right. Thanks for calling in. Great call as always. And I'll see you in the chat room.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And that was the great Nonia business, a great call-in as usual. Nonia's appeared a couple of times on our vMix video link, which you can appear at as well. If you see the video link there on the bottom, you just send me an email, and I will send you a link. Nonia will tell you it's very simple, very painless. You get the link, and it says username. You type in your username, and then you literally just push join call, and you join the call. A box with your picture shows up in it, and then within a second or two, you see me, and then within a couple of seconds of that, I put it on the screen, and you get to sit kind of like, let's see if I can show it to you. Kind of like that. And there you are. I'm there right under where it says Carl's Opinion, and that black screen right there, that would be you. That can be you. If seen by millions and millions of people around the world, people will never forget you. It'll be a priceless moment. And you'll be on with Carl's Opinion, worldwide phenomena. No, I'm just kidding. No, really. But anyway, so yeah, you can appear that way as well. But anyway, so let's get to the news. Let's see where we left off here. I think we're right here. And so yeah, let's take this down, and let's see. Okay. Let's get to the next story. All right. Oh, here we go. Adam Schiff. Yay, Adam Schiff. Adam Shit. There you go. So, Adam Schiff says, hold on. Adam Schiff says Democrats prepared to subpoena Mueller. Brilliant idea. Let's do that all day long. So, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff said, now, mind you now, everybody in Washington, and I mean everybody in Washington knows Robert Mueller's report. The guy who's been investigating this now it'll be 2 years at the time he turns out reported, just about 2 years. Done the most thorough investigation, upside down, one side the other, arrested all kinds of people for having nothing to do with collusion, indicted all kinds of people for having nothing to do with collusion, taken people to trial, expensive trials, to it Paul Manafort, for having nothing to do with collusion. Which is what he was charged with. Go ahead and find the collusion. Now, Rosenstein, asshole, made it specifically open-ended. Look for anything, like as if that's a good idea. Look for anything. And just let the proposed caller know we do not take unknown person phone calls. So, sorry, cannot take your phone call. So, there you go. So, yeah, we do not take unknown person phone calls or blocked phone numbers and stuff like that. So, if you're calling with a blocked number or an unknown person number, we do not take your phone calls. Hey, let me see if I can just scoot this over a little bit over here. Hold on. Let me just fix this real quick. Yep. There we go. So that way I'm not in the way of the words that are on the article. So, good idea, Carl. But anyway, so anyway, everybody in town knows that when Mueller's coming down, I mean, the Democrats are like, oh, when Mueller writes a report, man, we're going to have all this great impeachment stuff. We're going to have, and they finally come to the realization also, because they finally talked to somebody with some brains. Excuse me a second. They finally talked to some attorneys with some brains, because two different Department of Justice memos came out back in the 70s and also back in the late 80s during Nixon and also during Clinton, saying that you cannot indict a sitting president. You can indict him after he leaves office, but you cannot indict him, meaning that if you cannot indict somebody in front of a grand jury, it's not a big stretch for the Supreme Court to come down and say, well, if you can't indict him, you can't subpoena him either in front of the grand jury. Because what's the point? To put him in front of a grand jury has two things to do, either discharge or return a true bill saying that, yes, he's indicted. So, they say, well, we'll subpoena him, and Trump will have to testify in front of the grand jury. Well, no, he wouldn't. Because of every scholar out there who's not partisan is saying, no, you can't indict a sitting president. Why? Because the Constitution provides for how to get rid of a president that's done bad things. To wit, impeachment. Hence, that's in the Constitution. So, two different Department of Justice memos went out during Nixon administration and during the Clinton administration, whether you can indict a sitting president. Both came down and said, no, you can't. Go figure. So they know they can't indict him. They know they can't subpoena him in front of the grand jury to testify. They know he didn't. If you notice, Trump never interviewed with Robert Mueller. Remember all that? We're going to interview you if you don't, we'll subpoena you in front of the grand jury. Well, it didn't happen. They sent him a list of written questions. Now, Trump says he answered it by himself. Yeah, right. I mean, just hit his attorneys in the head with a hammer if that happened. No, because interrogatories you're allowed in any, even in civil cases. Interrogatories, the reason why you give them 30 days to answer them, like in a civil case, is because you're supposed to be able to sit down with your attorney to answer them with the assistance of counsel. But it's a double-edged sword because then you can't use things like, well, gee, I don't know, I don't remember, because you got 30 days to answer them. So you got time to go back and look at documents and stuff to see, what the answer should be. Plus, you got your attorney assisting you, so it's very hard to say things like, give BS answers. Deposition, you can always say, I don't remember. If somebody's asking you a question at deposition, I don't remember is perfectly legitimate. And then the other side will try to refresh your recollection by showing you an exhibit. You say, that doesn't help. I still don't remember. That may not play real well in front of a jury or at a bench trial in front of a judge, but it generally can get you past a deposition unless it's so blatantly obvious. Then you can bring like a motion to compel to the state court judge and compel them to answer the question, that kind of stuff. But so Trump was never deposed. Like there was going to be he's going to be deposed. He was never subpoenaed. No, that didn't happen. And Mueller's got nothing. 2 years and nothing. Mueller got sold a bag of goods. Most likely he wanted to believe it was true. And I think once he got in there, he realized, because remember now, he hired Strzok, he hired Page, and all these other clowns. And once he realized that these guys were just totally biased and totally in the bag for Clinton and totally anti-Trump, he realized like, oh shit. Remember he fired Strzok, he fired Page off his team because they went to Mueller and said, hey, we can help you. We've been on this the whole time. And Mueller's like, well, okay, you guys got great reputations, which they did. Strzok was one of the best counter intel guys this country ever had, but he was also an evil person. Uses powers for evil, not for good. So there you go. So anyway, so he had to fire them right away, and I think he's realized to the point that he got sold a bill of goods. I think he wanted to believe it anyway, because remember, Trump didn't hire him. More than that, though, I think just politically speaking, he didn't like Trump. He didn't like the direction Trump was taking the country, and, he's old school, he's establishment, he's, a rhino, that kind of guy. So, and plus he fired his friend, James Comey, and add a few more reasons. But anyway, but now, here it is, man. This is it. And after 2 years and millions of dollars, he's got nothing. So everybody in D.C. knows he's coming out with pretty much a nothing report where he's going to talk about some bad things and make it sound bad. But at the end of the day, when you really look hard at it, it's going to be nothing there. So now the Democrats are like, they're scared shitless. They're like, oh my God, we thought we were going to have something really good to go on for the next 2 years, or even start impeachment proceedings based on Mueller's report. And they might still start impeachment proceedings. They'll never get a conviction in the Senate. And again, for impeachment, all you need, this is how impeachment works. You need a simple majority in the House, okay, which they have and they would get. So the president becomes impeached. But to get removed from office, then that, if you will, almost like information, that indictment, then goes to the Senate, and that's where the Senate holds a trial. And the senators are basically the jury, 100 of them. And it takes 2/3 of them to vote to convict, 67. Again, you have to peel off, like we were talking about earlier, you have to peel off 20 Republicans to vote in favor of removing the president from office, which is something that's not done lightly. The only president who actually got impeached was Andrew Johnson, who took over after Lincoln got assassinated. He was Lincoln's vice president. He was from Tennessee. And the Northeast Republicans wanted him gone. And they impeached. They impeached him in the House. A lot of very anti-slavery Republicans in the House at the time. But it got to the Senate. They lost by one vote. One vote. And they still couldn't convict. Nixon never actually got impeached. He resigned before the House took a vote to impeach. But he knew that was coming. He didn't want that on his record. Clinton got impeached. But again, when it went to the Senate, I think even Orrin Hatch voted against it. It's like, no, this is not right. No, because the impeachment said he lied under oath about having an affair on his wife, and it's like, well, if you're gonna have an affair, I guess you'd probably lie about it. Although my guess is Mrs. Hillary Clinton knew all about it, so he wasn't lying to her; he was lying just to the American people. But because he lied at a deposition under oath. And I don't think the founding fathers really thought that's what we're talking about. When they talk about high crimes and misdemeanors, high crimes would be like treason, misdemeanors, something nasty misdemeanor, not, lying under oath. I don't think the founding fathers wanted the executive kicked out by the legislative branch for that reason. I don't see it. But anyway, So so even if the House does the impeachment, the worst thing you can do if you're the Democrats would, because after that impeachment proceeding and they lost in the Senate, Clinton's poll numbers actually went up. They actually felt sorry for the guy. People actually felt sorry for Bill Clinton. Said, "God, the way the Republicans treated him was terrible," and his poll numbers actually went up. So the same thing would happen with Trump. They would impeach in the House. They'd go to the Senate. They won't get a conviction. They'll look like a bunch of idiots for not being able to get anything done. Trump's numbers will go up, and then you'll have a split in the Democratic Party because then the Ocasio-Cortezes would be like, "Oh, you guys didn't fight hard enough. We're going to split. Oh, you guys suck," and be like a circular firing squad. So that's not going to happen. So now, guys like Schiff, who for their own reasons don't want to let this go, they're saying, "Well, after Mueller writes the report, we're going to subpoena him, because the report can't be made public." Well, I don't know what Mueller's going to say. He's bound by confidentiality. He really can't talk about the report. He talk about some of the things he did, but that report is confidential. The report written by God, I can't remember the guy in the '90s against Clinton. That was under either, I think it was called a special counsel or an independent counsel, and now it's called a special counsel or an independent counsel, one of those. But they changed the law when they amended it. They said, the Attorney General decides what is made public, what isn't made public. So anyway, so here's the story here. We'll go on and continue with this. So, with that little background, sorry about that, if I was long-winded, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff said Democrats would seek a full airing of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's coming report on possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, vowing a legal battle over documents and testimony if needed. Well, good luck. The statute specifically says what can be released and what cannot be and who's in charge of it. So what legal battle is he talking about? But anyway, Schiff of California said Attorney General William Barr should make the underlying evidence from Mr. Mueller's investigation public, even if President Trump isn't criminally implicated in any wrongdoing. Mr. Trump has repeatedly denied working with Russia, and what the U.S. has said was a broad campaign to help him what the U.S. has said was a broad campaign to help him win the 2016 election. We will obviously subpoena the report. We will bring Bob Mueller in to testify before Congress. We will take this to court if necessary, Schiff said on ABC this week. The guy's a moron. Mr. Schiff added, when you take the position that the president cannot be indicted, and the only remedy for improper, illegal, or other conduct is impeachment, then you cannot withhold that information from Congress. Yeah, you can. It's by statute. There are other ways to find information for impeaching other than a special counsel. This guy just, every time he speaks, he says something dumber than the last time. Yeah, you can do what you did with the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is probably one of the most bipartisan committees in all of Congress. The Senate Intel has always been, I talked about this last night, Senate Intelligence Committee has always been the single most bipartisan committee of any single committee in Congress. It's always been that way. It doesn't matter who the party in power is. It's always, the vice chair could always subpoena any documents, any records, call any witnesses it wants, because the chair will always sign off on it. Never heard where that didn't happen ever since I've been politically astute, which is probably since the time I was, 10, 11, 12. So you're talking like 40 years. I've never heard where the vice chairperson of the Intelligence Committee was mad, went on TV and said, chairperson won't let me subpoena these witnesses, won't let me get these documents. Not once, ever. And the Senate Intelligence Committee just wrapped up their investigation where everybody signed off on it, and nobody, wait, hold on, we've got a call here. We'll take a look to see who this is. Area code 503, you're live with Carl's Opinion. This is Carl. What's your name? Yep, lost him. Hung up. Okay. Okay, we lost area code 503, and I guess we'll get him back some future time. But anyway, so let's see where we left off here. Let's see. In light of a June 2018 memo that Mr. Barr wrote, let me fix this volume real quick. In light of a, where are we at? In light of a 2018 memo that Mr. Barr wrote that was strongly critical of aspects of the Mueller inquiry, Mr. Barr vowed to bring as much transparency as possible to Mr. Mueller's findings, though he wouldn't promise to release the special counsel's final report. Let's see here. Continue on. Click. Justice Department said Friday that Mr. Mueller's final report won't be released next week. Still, there are signs he is wrapping up his work, and he's expected to deliver a report to Mr. Barr in the coming weeks. So everybody's thinking about the next 2 weeks or so. Mueller has to turn the report over to Barr. Congressional Democrats are eagerly awaiting the Mueller report as they probe the ties between Moscow and the president, as well as his associates. Many Democrats in Congress, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California, have long said that any impeachment proceedings in Congress should come only after Mr. Mueller's work is finished. Special counsel. Special counsel inquiry has led to criminal charges against 34 people, including 6 Trump associates, 5 of whom have been convicted. A House Intelligence Committee probe into Russia's role in the 2016 election ground to a virtual halt when the GOP was in control of the House. The committee reopened its probe this month under Democratic control. Mr. Barr is required to notify specific lawmakers that the Mueller investigation has concluded and must describe any instances in which he vetoed a decision by Mr. Mueller. Attorney General can release the report publicly if he decides it is in the public interest, but he is likely to spend days or weeks determining what he is able to release. Senator Roy Blunt, a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee that is conducting its own Russia probe, said Sunday on CBS's News Face the Nation Mr. Mueller could end up testifying in the Senate depending on his report's findings. Blunt, who is in the Senate GOP leadership ranks, also noted that Intelligence Chairman Richard Burr recently said that his committee hadn't yet found evidence of collusion. Well, he said a little bit more than that. He said there is no, 2 years later, there's no evidence. Senate Intel Committee. And they subpoenaed everybody. It took like 100 different witnesses testifying, thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and they still nothing. There ain't nothing there. And then he goes on to say, you can see everybody backpedaling now, House and Senate both, on the idea that collusion is going to be in the Mueller report. Exactly. It's not there because it didn't happen. Blunt added that the Senate Intel Committee's investigation is continuing, would likely include after Mueller's report is complete. We'll soon find out what else is out there that we might not know about, he said. Most likely there isn't anything they really don't know about. And so, I think this is pretty much, dead on arrival. I mean, I think this case is pretty much done at this point. Let's see. Let's see. We weren't permitted to explore in great detail when Republicans were running the committee. Schiff said of the hush money payments going arranged during the campaign. President payoff scheme and court papers individual alleging public, and that's just nonsense anyway. That's that whole stupid Stormy Daniels thing. I'm going to go down in history of the first Manchurian candidate. Man, I'm still listening. Good night, Patriots. Have a great week. Thank you, Carl. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there, Amy. Thanks. Amy. Boom. There you go. Let's see. Oh, the call-in? I don't know who that was, the person who called in. I don't know. Maybe they just got scared. They didn't want to talk, but that's okay. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, let's get to the next story. Here we go. This is scary for everybody. Venezuela opposition calls for consideration of force against regime. Guido, I wish he had a better name. Guido. I mean, every time I say Guido, I just start laughing. But anyway, Guido, Pence, and regional diplomats will meet in neighboring Colombia to weigh options after Maduro's government had cracked down on protesters, and he stopped the international aid. So, yeah, things are getting, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Thank you, Wall Street Journal. And, this is getting a little goofy over there. And there's a guy throwing a rock at the Maduro's men. Boom, boom, boom. This is by Ryan Doobie, again, of the Wall Street Journal. Venezuela's opposition leaders called on the international community to consider the use of force against President Nicolas Maduro regime after an ambitious effort to deliver humanitarian aid into the crisis-stricken country descended into violence. Julio Borges, a leading member of the opposition coalition, on Sunday said proposals for increased action against Mr. Maduro would be made during a meeting in Colombia's capital, Bogota, on Monday. Now, we got to be really careful about this. I mean, I'm a conservative Republican, and, but I'm not gung-ho and stupid, I'm 53, I'm not 23. So it's like, yeah, let's go down there and kill some people. Remember something, that country's a big mess. And yeah, you can say, yeah, we feel for these people in Venezuela. They got a really bad deal, but they put that really bad deal in. Chavez was very popular. Okay, he still is to this day. And there's a lot of people who still support the socialist regime, and support the ideas behind it, and support nationalizing industries. They like that. They like taking all the money from the rich people. Yay, we got their money. Ha ha ha. Screw you, rich man. I mean, a lot of people feel that way down there. And they put these idiots in power. And then they realized, oh, I guess we didn't really think that through. These idiots, the socialism doctrine, taking out the incentives for people to actually work hard and be productive and make money, and then be able to exchange goods for services, goods and services for cash, and et cetera. We thought that was bad, but it actually turned out that's good. Well, tough shit. You should have known it was good to begin with. Shouldn't have let these people get into power and stay in power, and then keep putting them back in power. I mean, some people are just too stupid that we now what? We're going to go down there with the military. We're going to lose some people, probably. I don't know how many, but it may not be pretty. And then not only that, and then what are we going to do? We're going to kill this guy, do what we did in Panama, take this guy, put him into custody, arrest him. I don't know, take him to The Hague for violation of human rights or something. And then guess what? Once we do that, once we go in there and do that, we own that place. We own it. It's like Iraq. Once you go in, it's now your job to make it, to fix it, okay, to make it work. How much money is that going to take? I mean, all that equipment is dilapidated. It hasn't been repaired. All the oil fields, the oil processing plant, I mean, the refineries, the pipelines, everything, is real corrosive. That oil down there is like super corrosive. It's super crappy oil. They got a lot of it, but it's really kind of crappy. It's not like, oil from North Dakota. So where's that money coming from? Who's going to pay for that? In Iraq, remember, we went in there and spent all that money. We get anything out of it? No. Are we going to demand that, okay, we'll come in and give you a bunch of money, but you got to pay us back? Well, guess what? They owe about 30, 40 billion to the Chinese right now. And the Chinese are going to want to get paid first. And whatever deal we do to go in there to get the approval of the Chinese, I guarantee you part of the deal is going to be, we'll get you your money back. Well, not actually the way the Venezuelans were paying the Chinese back, they gave them like $50 billion loan. They were paying back with oil. At market price or below market price, whatever deal they worked out, whatever it was. Well, they're still owed about $30 billion in oil. So whatever oil is pumping out of that ground, guess where the first $30 billion worth has to go? To the Chinese, unless they're going to throw a fit, Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Or maybe we just say, screw you, China, you made a bad deal. Oh, it's like, okay, good. So now let's follow in the Chinese footsteps and do a bad deal too, because $50 billion is a drop in the bucket. It was going to take to fix that place up. How much money do we spend on Iraq? I don't mean just troops and stuff. I mean actual real money. With their infrastructure and everything. I mean, you got millions of people who need to get fed. I mean, the average person in Venezuela has lost like 24 pounds. I mean, 24 pounds. I mean, think about it. That's a lot of weight. That's average. People are like eating their own dogs. People are broken into the zoos to kill the animals in the zoo. There are people who are killing pigeons in the park. Then, the mainstream media, they want to cover that, but those were not exaggerated stories. People are hungry. So you got to get a whole bunch of food in there. Where's that coming from? The food that was sent down already, most of it came from the U.S. Okay, how much is that going to cost? And then, again, once you're in there, you own it. So now when things don't get going as quick as these people want them to get going, in other words, like the people in Puerto Rico, like bitching about the fact, well, it took a year to rebuild this place. Well, yeah, because you let it fall into be a dump, because you didn't follow any kind of U.S. code as far as any buildings or electrical or water. I mean, God, one guy's house was powered by electricity. We ran like a outdoor conduit with an electrical line up to somebody else's house that was tied into somebody else's house, was tied into a pole. They're building houses on the sides of hills that they had no business building. But, they like being a territory instead of United States, because if that was a state, there's no way in hell you could pass any of that stuff in all pass inspection. So that took a year to fix that mess up. Meanwhile, the Caribbean nations, which were hit far worse than Puerto Rico, they were literally up and running for business by Christmas. Okay? By Christmas. So, I don't want to hear like, well, gee, I mean, these people in the Caribbean, they got their countries open for business. They were, hotels were open, everything by Christmas. And that was like only a few months later. Puerto Rico is a disaster. So imagine what a disaster Venezuela is going to be. I mean, oh my God. And so then when it doesn't get fixed in 6 months, and people are still hungry, and trust me, the mainstream media will be finding people like about a month from now. Oh, this little girl can't get medicine. Oh, this little girl can't get food. Oh, Trump's to blame. Or forget even being partisan, like Trump's to blame. It's going to be the American people are to blame. And there'll be pictures, why are the Americans helping us faster? How come they're not helping us quicker? Why am I still hungry? Why am I outside in the rain? What, it won't be, trust me, whatever we do is not going to be good enough or fast enough. And then it's going to be a mess on our hands. We have more people hating us. Hey, you know what? They made their mess. Okay, those people put those people in power and kept them in power. And they were all giddy about it. And I know they were giddy because we had a bunch of idiots up here that were giddy about it too. Sanders and Obama all going out taking pictures with Hugo Chavez. Like, oh, he's such a great guy. Oh, look at this. This is socialism. This is how it works. Yeah, when you get a $50 billion loan from the Chinese, and you just start, confiscating people's money, they got 1,000,000+% inflation. I mean, hell, our Federal Reserve goes insane when it goes above 2%. Think about that. I mean, this is crazy. So, yeah, before we start thinking about, yay, let's go down there and kick some ass, well, just remember, we're going to have to take care of that place. I mean, we're going to have to fix this place up. And all these Europeans and the Canadians are like, yeah, we're with you. Trust me, when it comes time to write the check, yeah, it's going to be crickets right behind you. I mean, heck, we can't even get them to write a check for their own defense. Hell, they signed a treaty with NATO saying they pay X amount of percent of their GDP every year in support of NATO. They won't even do that. Obama used to go there with his hand out saying, hey, man, you gotta pay. Now, he never did it publicly, but trust me, he was over there pissed off just as much as Trump, except Trump went public with it. There's no difference between him and Obama, and Trump did it to shame him to get him to do it. Obama's like, well, okay. Well, okay. I mean, they weren't even pick up a check to defend themselves against evil Vladimir Putin. It's like, ooh, Putin. Ooh, well, don't you want to defend yourselves again? Well, no, we got you. We're like, hey, well, screw you. We're busy. Same thing here. We turn around. I guarantee you, man. We get involved in there, and all those Europeans are like the EU, like, yeah, use of force, use of force. Who are they going to send? The French Navy over? Right. The English Navy? Yeah. The English Air Force? Huh? The French Air Force? Right. They're coming over here. No. Well, you guys are right there. You can take care of it. Well, you guys send any troops? Well, we're halfway around the world. You're like right there. You got base in the Panama. You can be there in 10 minutes. Yeah, crazy. Excuse me. But anyway, so we got to be really careful on this. And, like, of course, Venezuela's opposition leader calling on the international community to consider the use of force. Hey, why don't you rise up and use your own force? Like the American Revolution. Yeah, we got some help from the French, some logistical help. We had the help of the fleet. But when it came to the fighting on the ground, guess what? Those are Americans fighting and dying and getting wounded there. There weren't a lot of French troops at the Battle of Yorktown. Look it up. There wasn't. The French fleet was out there, and they kept the British fleet from evacuating General Howe, but that was it. Okay? It wasn't like they were down there on the ground fighting with us side by side. There were a few guys, a few advisors, but it wasn't like, massive amounts of troops there. No, it was us. So you want to have a revolution like the Beatles? You say you want a revolution. Oh, yeah, we all want to save the world. Do, do, do. You say it's about evolution. Well, do it yourself instead. Leave us out of it. And if you want money for people with minds that hate, well, brother, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to wait. Gonna be all right if you take care of yourself. It's going to be all right if you take care of yourself. It's going to be all right if you take care of yourself and leave us alone. Venezuela. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Oh, check the chat room. Actually, did anybody see my rap video? Oh, did anybody see my rap video? Does anybody? Let me. I wonder if I can find it. Where did I put that rap video? I wonder if I still have it. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the. Wonder where I put that. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can find the rap video. I'm trying to think now. Where would I put that? Oh, let's see. Let's take a look real quick. But anyway, Venezuela, take care of your problems yourself. I mean, if all the people are in favor of this, let me tell you, you rise up, you get 10 million people charging that palace. I don't care who's out there. I mean, that palace, the people in that palace are leaving, including the troops. I'm going to grab some water, then we're going to look for that rap video. Let me see if I can find my rap video. I don't know if I can, but I'll do a quick look. I won't take forever looking for it. So now, if I lose you guys, I'll be right back. But I don't think. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Nope. Let's see. Trying to remember when I did it. Let's see. Let me see. This may be the whole video, though. Let me see here. It looks like a preset. Okay, if I lose you guys, I'll come right back. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to try something with this one. Let me see if I can pull this up. So if I lose you guys, I promise I'll be right back. I'll come right back on. I'll restream it. It'll be on a new stream, but I'll come right back. But hold on. Let me see if I can get this. It might be kind of scary. Let's see. Open. Let's see. Bump. Yep, could not open. Hold on. All right, yeah, that's too big. Hold on. All right, yeah, that was too big. But anyway, I did a rap video. It was really cool. Maybe I'll play it next time. I'll have it set up for next time so you can see it. But yeah, that was pretty funny. So, all right, let's see. So anyway, all right, so back to this guy, Guido. Let's see. So Julio Borges, leading member of the opposition coalition, on Sunday said proposals for increased action against Maduro would be made during a meeting in Colombia's capital, Bogota, Monday. And let's see. Opposition leader Juan Guaido recognized Venezuela's rightful president by more than 50 countries, none of which will give us any money or send any troops to help us do this, by the way, including the U.S., will participate in the meeting with the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and regional diplomats. Okay, so did you notice who's meeting there? It's not going to be the 50 countries meeting. It's going to be Mike Pence, United States, and regional diplomats, Brazil, Colombia, maybe Argentina. And what are they going to do? They're going to send troops? Nope. They don't want the political heat because they know if it goes bad, they don't want the heat on it. So again, United States, yeah, you come pick up the tab, even though we had nothing to do with causing this mess. Okay, you can't blame us on this one. Oh, no, this was all you Venezuelans. You're in it now, up to your neck. It's my Gregory Peck imitation from, what was it called? What's that movie? I don't know. It was the one where, let's see, the one with David Niven when they had to blow up the guns of Navarone. The guns of Navarone. And he turned to David Niven and he goes, "You're in it up to your neck." So anyway, they caused their own problem. This is their country. I guarantee you, like if we elected Ocasio-Cortez, and then she ran this country into the dirt, and we were like, hey, we need some help, there'd be nobody here to help us. And they say Venezuela was doing really great because they got rid of the socialists and they had a bunch of capitalists in there. And we turned to Venezuela, hey, can you help us out? Because we were stupid enough to elect Ocasio-Cortez as president, and she ran the country into the ground, and we're all starving. And I weighed 20 pounds less than I did yesterday, and I'm eating my dog. It's like, can you help us? We're like, hey, get lost. Who are you? So anyway, Venezuela now. So again, who's at this meeting? Pence, and the regional diplomats, they're not even giving their names. That tells you something. Put your name to it. No. Regional diplomats. What the hell does that even mean? Regional diplomats. And then does it mean the leaders of the countries? And then he goes, we are going to demand an escalation. We're going to demand. Hey, F you. That's what I say about, this is the Venezuelans talking. They're going to demand. Screw you. You know what? Demand it yourself. Oh, God. We are going to demand an escalation diplomatic pressure in the use of force against the dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro, said Mr. Borges, who is the opposition representative to the Lima Group, a coalition of Latin American nations and Canada who oppose Mr. Maduro. Demand. Yeah, okay, screw you. Those are our young men and women out there getting killed. Okay? Because trust me, somebody will die. We did not lose a lot of people in Panama, but a few people did die. Okay? Shit happens. You die. Not to mention, when you're moving that many men and material around, I'm not in the military, but my guess is the logistical nightmare, people are going to get hurt, you know? I mean, even when you're building a building, you got OSHA on site, and everybody's supposed to be doing everything perfect, sometimes shit just happens, you know? Somebody drops a load of, you know, drywall or whatever, and they put it on top of the steel, on top of the, you know, the sheeting, and it's not over a major beam, and it collapses, and it goes down, boom, 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 or they load steel up there. It's not. They didn't notice it was, you know, laying on top. It was not laying on top of a major beam, and then boom, 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 it falls down a couple of floors and kills a few guys. Or some guy will be holding a piece of drywall next to the side of the building, a plane flies by, goes out holding onto it like a kite, and boom, 3 floors later, he's dead. So just on that, okay, and then when you're moving that many men and material around, you know, a plane crashing, a helicopter crashing, maintenance problems, whatever, people die, okay? That's how it works. And so, you know, demanding of us to send our men and women, a few of them to not come back, and a few of them come back maimed. Nobody demands that of us. Fix your own goddamn country, okay? You know, nobody's going to help us if our country takes a nosedive. Trust me. They'll all be laughing. They'll be laughing at us, like Kerry. And they'll be dropping pig's blood on us, probably. So, you know what? Screw these people. I mean, fix it yourself. And then, like, you say, oh, if we go in there now, they'll be friends with us and they'll do something for us. Guess what? We don't need anything from them. What do we need from Venezuela? Oil? We got plenty of it. And we got deals already with the Saudis and anybody else that we need to, and it's done. We don't need Venezuela oil. What do we need Venezuela oil for? What, to put it more on the world market? Well, look, here's the dirty little secret. We can't have oil prices drop too low. Okay, we have to keep prices up a little bit. We all got to pay a little bit more at the pump. Sorry, because we have to have our own oil fields in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, etc. Because hey, we got jobs, you know. So we got, you know, it's like, oh, let's all go to Walmart. Yeah, great. How many Americans we put out of work for the last 30 years because we all went to Walmart to buy shit from China, Vietnam, you know, other countries I can't even pronounce, you know, in Southeast Asia. You know, how many Americans no longer have jobs because of that? Well, you know what? Oil prices have to stay just a little bit higher, like at least over $40 a barrel. So we don't need to flood the world oil market with a bunch of oil from Venezuela right now to drop prices down, and then our guys are all out of work in the Midwest. Sorry, not to mention, by having those lines open and make sure that we have a steady stream of oil in case we need it, like in case we actually go to a real war, we need our own oil supply. So anyway, let's see. See what else this guy has to say. Let's see. Calls for using force against Mr. Maduro came after Saturday's deadly clashing along Venezuela, Colombia, and Brazilian borders between opposition group supporters looking to bring humanitarian aid into Venezuela and state security and paramilitary gangs loyal to Mr. Maduro's regime. The call for military intervention, the most explicit yet from the opposition, is an escalation in the political crisis and raises the likelihood that it will be resolved through violence, some analysts say. Mr. Maduro, who is grappling with Latin America's worst economic crisis and the world's highest inflation, has vowed to block aid from entering. Well, see, he knows that if the aid comes in, it's coming. People are going to say Guaido had something to do with it, and he can't have that. And not to mention, if you're taking aid, it must mean you need it. Well, no, everything's fine here, nothing to see. Everybody's eating just fine. You know, well, why are you taking aid? Oh, yeah, we're kind of screwed up. Well, he can't have that story. And what he claims is, and this is probably partially true, he claims the food and medicine are a Trojan horse that would lead to a military invasion, humiliation for Venezuelans. Well, I don't know about the whole Trojan horse. I mean, if he's being specifically like we're hiding troops like in the trucks, yeah, well, he doesn't sound too bright either. He's a socialist. What do you want? He claims the food and medicine are a Trojan horse that would lead to military invasion and humiliation for Venezuelans. At least 2 people were killed near the Brazilian border, while truckloads of aid were burned near the Colombian border. Tear gas and gunfire also left hundreds injured in clashes that divide clashes on 3 bridges that divide Colombia and Venezuela. Venezuelan Communication Minister Jorge Rodriguez blamed the violence on the opposition and foreign adversaries in Colombia, adding that the opposition staged a propaganda operation on Saturday in an effort to create conditions for a U.S. military intervention. Well, actually, no. Actually, all they had to do was say, oh, trucks full of food and medicine, come on in. And then guess what? It's like, oh, okay. Well, that was awfully nice of you. Well, we're kind of a little short on food right now, and, things just aren't working out that great. And so we appreciate your help, guys. Thanks. And just shook everybody's hand at the border. You had some, senior officer from the Venezuelan military walk out there. And his counterpart in the Colombian military is on the other side. They probably, since they both worked that border area, probably known each other. Like cops in two different bordering counties or something. They all speak the same language. And they say, hey, how you been? It kind of sucks here. Yeah, well, yeah, we got a bunch of your people over here. Yeah, well. But anyway, hey, thanks for bringing that food. Oh, hey, man, no problem. We'll be back tomorrow with some more off. Fantastic. All right. Guess what? No clash, no nothing. That's all the Venezuelans had to do. Yeah, thanks. So, the idea to say we're going to create conditions for a U.S. military intervention. Not if you're nice, not if you're friendly, not if you just let the trucks come on in and just let them keep going down the highway and feed a whole bunch of people. Then what do we say then? It's like, oh, yeah, that guy, he's a little bit messed up in his country right now, but he was nice enough to let the food and medicine in. Let's kill him. Well, no, that you can't follow. One doesn't follow from the next. Okay, that's all they had to do. So, then Maduro says he said the National Guard was ensuring public order and responded to aggression by government opponents. We reject any form of aggression against the Venezuelan territory. Yes, food and medicine. Idiot. Jesus. That whole continent is. After the incidents on Saturday, Mr. Guido, said he would formally propose to international allies that all options should be on the table to remove Maduro. Yes, thank you again. Thank you. Yes, U.S. troops, U.S. Marines, U.S. Air Force, U.S. naval assets. Yes, us going in and having a shootout with Maduro and his friends in Caracas. Yes, sounds like a plan. Let's do it tomorrow. Yeah. Again, anybody gonna be with us? Turn around. Hey, follow us. Follow me. Look around. There's nobody there. Hey, you Americans got this. Hey, you crazy warmongering Americans got this thing done yet? That's what the Europeans will say about us. Yeah, those obnoxious, deplorable, Americans. They like killing anybody. Yeah, we'll just send them in. Let them go kill some people. Yeah, that's how they are. They're not like us. We're all civilized. We would never get our hands dirty. Yeah. And, hey, you going to give us some money? Oh, well, no, we're not going to do that either. It's like, yeah, okay. And then Guido, of course. First of all, we don't know that much about this guy. Okay, all I know is, I guess his family got killed, in some mudslide, and he was pissed off because the government didn't respond quickly enough, or they did respond, or they allowed the situation to occur where his family got killed. I don't know. Some stupid backstory like that. Other than that, who is this guy? Is he a capitalist? Does he believe in democracy? Is he telling us what we want to hear? We going to get him in power? Then what? Remember Iraq? All these guys who were going to put in power over there that were going to, save the day? Yeah. And then who runs Iraq now? Iran. Does anybody? I've never seen any real deep dive into who this guy is, what he's about, he wasn't in the assembly. What's his voting record? Is he just a man of opportunity? He happened to be in the right place at the right time, albeit the great political philosopher Machiavelli said one of the requirements for being a prince, if you will, a leader, is called it fortuna, which means fortune. Now, fortune doesn't mean luck. Luck is different. Luck is you pick out 5 numbers plus a bonus number, you get the lotto. That's luck. Fortune, the way you define fortune was being in the right place at the right time. And he defined Moses like that as a prince. Moses was in the right place at the right time. The situation was perfect for a guy like him. So it wasn't lucky that he was there. It was fortunate because with Moses' personality and the way he was raised and his exposure, and at the same exact time, the climate in Egypt and among the Israelites and the Egyptians were perfect for him to be able to be the guy to be Moses. Okay? Now, some guy named, I don't know, well, I don't want to say Joseph, some guy named, I know, Billy, Now, Billy would have, stood up and said, hey, set my people free. We're out of here. Well, maybe Billy wasn't the right guy. Billy would have been had his head chopped off, you know. But Moses was the right guy at the right time, you know. So maybe Guido is the right guy at the right time, but we don't know, you know. We don't know that, you know. You can say Trump is the right guy at the right time. I mean, if you think about it, he was, you know. And it was his fortune led to him. If there was no, if Kerry didn't lose in 2004, might have been no Barack Obama. No Barack Obama, might have been no Donald Trump. You know, fortune. You know, just kind of right place at the right time. You know, right man at the right time. You know, for it to be right man for the right thing, that kind of thing. So is Guido that guy? I don't know. Again, I haven't seen any deep dive stories into this guy. Maybe he's one of those guys that doesn't have much of a past. You know, you can't find anything out about him. That's even scarier. I don't know. People say, well, it can't be any worse than what we got. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much worse things can get. I'm not living there. I mean, if I was there and I was hungry, I'd be pretty pissed off. But, you know. But anyway, we grab a cigarette. So, let's see. Let's see. So, anyway, again, Guido, yes, use military force. Yeah, okay. It's uncertain whether Mr. Guido will be able to return to Venezuela and what that will mean for the opposition's leadership. Because basically, I'm sorry, skip the paragraph. Domestic and foreign pressure are fundamental to the liberation, said Mr. Guido, who crossed into Colombia last week, defying a court order preventing him from leaving. So now it's unsure whether he can be able to come back. Well, there you go. The U.S. has recently increased pressure on Mr. Maduro through sanctions on Venezuela's key oil industry and by supporting the opposition's offer of amnesty for military officials who help restore democracy. The Trump administration has not ruled out a military operation to oust Maduro. So basically, look, Guido did make the military a good deal. Said, look, okay, stop backing this guy. You got full amnesty. We don't give a shit what you did, who you tortured, who you killed. Mandela did that when he took over South Africa. Gave amnesty to everybody. And Bishop Tutu, I think so too. A lot of the real radicals in the ANC at the time. Not that Mandela was not a radical, he was, but he knew he had to get a country going. He didn't have time to be getting revenge. Okay, that was no. He's like he remember now. He was right next door to Zimbabwe. He saw what that looked like. And he's like, oh no, we're not going down that road. So anyway, in fact, a lot of people in South Africa now, the people who run it, like some of those nutcases over there, they hate Mandela. They call him names. Yeah, no, crazy, right? Yeah, okay. But anyway, so it's but anyway, so like that's what Mandela and Tutu did. In fact, all Tutu said, all you got to do is confess, say who you tortured, how many people you tortured, and you're good to go. And guys would get up, oh, I tortured like 50 people to death, blah blah blah. And he goes, okay, you're forgiven, goodbye, and that was it, amnesty, and so it's. I understand you want exact revenge. I get that. If your wife or your family member were killed or tortured by the secret police, like in this case in Venezuela, like in South Africa, you want the revenge. But you got to get the country back going again. I mean, for the sake of everybody, you got to get the country back going again. So Guido offered him, a la Nelson Mandela, saying, hey, you got amnesty. If I'm in charge, you guys walk. Have a nice day. Whatever you've done, I don't care. It didn't happen. Well, it happened. We'll take care of the people who were harmed. We'll make sure they get compensation. But you guys are not liable either criminally or civilly. We're not shooting you over to the Hague, for human rights, trials and stuff. Even give us Maduro. In fact, I guarantee there's an exit plan for Maduro. I'm sure he's got a place to go. I'm sure that's been offered already. I guarantee it. Trump's the kind of guy he'd rather negotiate, talk to people, maybe offer this guy something than to go to war, a la North Korea, President Kim. Okay. So I'm sure there's an exit plan for this guy. And speaking of which, we'll see if we get to the next story here. Look at that. What a segue, Carl's opinion. Trump's North Korea summit goal, locking the steps to denuclearization. To disprove skeptics, Kim Jong-un will have to go beyond Pyongyang's recent unilateral gestures and agree to irrevocable actions. Honestly, I don't think so. I think getting these guys in a room, again, I said it before, just get these guys in a room. Let me just check the chat room real quick. Okay, my eyes are burning now. I think I need to unplug for the night. Thanks for the knowledge. See you next show. All right, thank you, Miss Nunya Business. Let's see. Nunya Business. Have a good one. Yay. There you go. All righty. So we're okay. Ms. Nonya, you have a great night, and thanks for calling in. And thanks for being in the chat room. Thanks for everybody here. And then we'll get to our next story right now. We see the headline there. Trump's North. Whoa. Yeah, just kidding. But anyway, let's see. Oop. Trump's North Korea summit goal, lock in the steps to denuclearization. And like I said, Kim has a save face, so this is going to take a few minutes. So let the man save face. Is he shooting any missiles? Remember, there were missiles flying over. Every time Trump says this, the press look at him like, "Oh God, you're so hyperbolic." Excuse me. No, he's not. They were testing missiles, and those missiles were flying over the country of Japan proper. I mean, it wasn't like some faraway island. I mean, they were literally flying over the country of Japan and landing, in the Pacific Ocean on the other side. And the North Koreans were showing that we have missiles that can reach your country. Hence, we shot one right over it and went past it. And trust me, we have the technology to make it land at a certain city if we wanted to. So, I mean, imagine that you're living. I mean, imagine, you don't have to imagine. You're living here, wherever your city is, and then like Canada, to scare us, launches a missile that flies right over your city. It's like, yeah, and knowing they have nuclear weapons they could put on top of those damn missiles and like blow you up and you all die. So anyway, that was going on. Plus, he was testing other nuclear bombs and stuff. That was going on. That's not happening anymore. And getting the remains back, we've been wanting, every administration's been asking to get, U.S. soldier remains back from North Korea. See, I'm not sure if Kennedy asked for him back, but I think Johnson might have been the first one. I can't remember. But it's like, can we have the remains back of our guys? Well, actually, probably Eisenhower, I'm sure, asked, for sure. And no, we're not giving you back. You just want to come over here and spy on us. No, we just want our dead bodies back. Well, plus, a lot of these guys got tortured or shot in the back of the head. Some of those, the real stories you see documentaries on the Korean War, it was not pretty. I mean, the North Koreans and the Chinese didn't take a lot of prisoners. They just didn't. So, especially in that first rush, the Chosin Reservoir, the stories that came out of there were pretty nasty. So they probably don't want to turn the bodies over because, some of these guys maybe had their arms chopped off, But anyway, they returned the bodies. The North and the South, they're talking. Everybody said, well, they would have done that on their own. No, they didn't do it until Trump got elected, okay? Well, they were just waiting around 50 years. 2018, let's do it this year. Gee, what a coincidence. Who's in the White House? Donald Trump. Oh, who just had a meeting with Kim? Oh, Donald Trump. Who's been pushing this whole thing forward? Oh, Donald Trump. And it just happened to be 2018. Everybody said, oh, we'll wait till 2018 to sit down and talk to each other. No. But anyway, now they're talking. The guy in the South, the guy in the North talking, because the guy in the South smells money. And he's trying to tell Kim, realize what your population and your natural resource, a lot of those minerals that are found like in cell phones and stuff, well, there's a shitload of them in North Korea so that nobody has gone there with the money or the ability to get them mined out because it takes a lot of money to get in there. But the South are saying, look, man, screw everybody else. The Americans, the Chinese, the Russians, whoever, the Europeans, screw them. We got the money. We got the capital. We can bring in the people and the equipment and the mining operation. You got the people who can work at these damn mines. We can go make gazillions. Undercut everybody around the world. I mean, everybody needs these minerals. I mean, there's cell phones, electronics, computers, laptops, whatever. Webcams, a webcam on top of my computer, I'm sure has some of these minerals in them. And they're saying, look, we can get this done. And they got a railroad now going back and forth between the North and the South. They're working on a train to be able to bring people back and forth. They've been taking away landmines and everything else off the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, removing guard towers. I mean, this was unheard of. You would have said this 5 years ago. Be like, oh, that's crazy. You never get that done. Yeah, well, President Trump wasn't in the White House 5 years ago. There you go. But anyway, so, I mean, look, as long as they keep talking and they're hanging out, I mean, I wouldn't be upset if they just went and just hung out together and, I don't know, went outside and, I'd say smoke some cigarettes. And Trump doesn't smoke, though. But let's go hang out and bullshit. I don't know. Go shopping. You're going to be in Hanoi. Yeah, I think I said Ho Chi Minh City earlier. I'm pretty sure they're going to Hanoi, not Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon. But anyway, so, I mean, just go hang out. I don't know, hang out for a few hours. Just bullshit, Get something to eat. I don't know, go visit a local market or something. I mean, be security out the kazoo between the Vietnamese security and the North Korean security and the Secret Service. Yeah, it'll be like a small armed encampment, whatever restaurant they go to. But that'd be kind of nice. It's like, hey, let's go find something to eat. And he asked the guy, like president of Vietnam or dictator, or whatever the hell they call him, hey, where's a good place to get something to eat? And of course, he knows somebody who's at a friend who, whatever. And they all go there. And they all just sit out there BSing. It's a nice day out, nice weather. I'm fine with that. I'm fine if nothing gets done. I'm fine with just these guys talking and just hanging out. And then maybe they can set up a trip where, Trump goes to Pyongyang. What's he going to do? Like, get assassinated? He's going to go show up there and they're going to kill him. Ah, we tricked you. You fell into our trap, you stupid American. Now you're ours. No, that's not going to happen. Now there's a 7th Fleet parked outside. But no, that's not going to happen. But, I mean, maybe he goes, hey, let's go check out your city. Oh, okay, come on by. Or you can come down to D.C., hold one of those nice state dinners, real fancy. Everybody's all dressed up and shit. Everybody's all talking nice and stuff. The press is all there. And like, hey, works for me. I'm sure Kim's sister like get all dressed up and go to one of these events. I mean, shit. So anyway, here we go. So Trump will press North Korea leader Kim Jong-un to take his first irrevocable steps towards denuclearization of Korean Peninsula when the two leaders meet this week for a second summit in less than a year, which, again, amazing. A top U.S. goal is to persuade Pyongyang to freeze its nuclear weapons and missile programs while the two sides continue far-reaching talks encompassing denuclearization and punitive international sanctions. The talks, which will take place in Hanoi, mark an historic attempt to bring North Korea into the international community, offering a set of conditions that, if satisfied, may allow it to engage politically and economically with other countries around the world. In other words, we'll pull the sanctions off. Okay? We'll pull the sanctions off, and we got a whole bunch of American businesses just looking to come down here and throw a bunch of money at you. Okay? So, let's see. Let me bring this back just a little bit. Yep, too far. Sorry. There we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, Mr. Trump has touted the progress his administration has made. Here he goes. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear testing has stopped. There's not been a missile launch in 15 months. I mean, shit. That's quite a bit. For the Trump administration, however, the main success to date has been measured not by steps North Korea has taken since the two leaders first met in June, but by actions it hasn't taken. Yes, that's good. It's like, well, gee, you're saying success because they haven't launched a missile. Yes, if you were sleeping there in your home in northern Japan, you don't have to worry about a missile flying over your head or a nuclear bomb being dropped on top of your head. Yes, that's a good thing. It's okay. We can all say so. Remember how freaked everybody got when that false alarm went off in Hawaii, which I still to this day don't think it was false. But anyway, and everybody all freaked out like Hawaii's under attack, and all the people are panicking. We don't know what to do. Imagine living like that all the time. You lived in northern Japan. I mean, really? And these people get some peace of mind. People in South Korea get some peace of mind. I mean, come on. Give this guy a break, That's when they blew up that one missile testing site, I think. Yeah. There we go, back in May of 18. North Korean regime hasn't conducted a nuclear test missile launch since 2017, has closed its Pugae-ri nuclear test site. It has begun to dismantle the Tungjang-ri site where it tests engines for its liquid-fueled rockets. Mr. Kim promised a further move in his New Year's address in January, saying North Korea would neither make nor proliferate nuclear weapons. Such unilateral gestures have improved the atmosphere for the summit, but weren't codified in an agreement and could be reversed. Yeah, they could be reversed, but the guy freaking said it. I mean, hey, man, again, give this guy a few minutes. I mean, for 60 years, him and his family have been running a really nasty place, okay? Over 60 years, I'm sorry. Let's see. Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, told Congress in January that U.S. experts are still observing activity inconsistent with full denuclearization, and many within the administration, including some top advisors, remain skeptical of North Korea's commitment. That would be Mr. Bolton, who wants to go to war with everybody. North Korea has given us little indication that they have yet made the decision to completely dismantle and destroy their capabilities. Stephen Begin, Mr. Trump's special envoy on North Korea issues, said in a speech last month at Stanford University. Yeah, I guess another guy wants to go to war. He probably lost some people there. While U.S. officials have been guarded about preparation for the coming summit, a senior administration official identified 3 priorities. They include 1, obtaining a freeze on all weapons of mass destruction and missile programs. 2, agreeing on a common definition of denuclearization. Well, yeah, it's a big word. And 3, making progress on a roadmap for future negotiations. a verifiable commitment by North Korea to no longer produce fissile material for nuclear arms while the two sides carry out detailed talks would represent progress in the eyes of many experts. Yay. Yay. Donald Trump. Amen. Trump. 2020. Keep America great. Go to the polls. And then the next one was at the meets with trade negotiators. That's actually good. I'm not going to go through this whole story. Getting kind of late. So we're going to just talk about this real quick. Again, this is going good. Nobody thought 5 years ago that the Chinese would be at the table talking about, what they're going to do for us. Okay? I mean, again, this is fantastic. They are paying billions of dollars in tariffs right now. That's all because of Mr. Donald Trump. He played hardball with them. The only thing is whether or not he's going to increase them. That's what he's holding off on. They have tariffs on them right now. Saying whether we're going to increase them and make them more expansive. Chinese are already talking about buying billions of tons of soybeans from us. They're already talking about, they're trying to do something, but they're actually coming to the table with all kinds of wonderful goodies for us. May not be enough for Trump, but at the same point in time, that's not too bad. Let me take a look at the chat. Who we still got here? We got great douchebags, like pretty much everybody kind of wrapping it up for the evening here. Let's just cover one more story real quick, and we'll get to that. Fed embarks on a rethink of its inflation target. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where the Fed says if inflation goes over 2%, we got to raise interest rates to stop growth. Okay, that is freaking ridiculous. I said it then. Maybe somebody listened. Maybe somebody was listening to this YouTube channel and said, yes, maybe we let inflation go up to, I said at the time, like 4.5%, maybe even 5%, to let the economy get going before you slam on the brakes and raise interest rates to stop growth. But anyway, let's. I read a little bit of the story, but I didn't really read it all that much. But I didn't read it enough to understand what the hell they were talking about before I stuck it on the air. So anyway, Fed embarks on a rethink of its inflation target. Central bank is seeking more flexibility to confront the constraints that come with interest rates that are still hovering low. As the chairman, Jerome Powell. I don't like the guy already. Anyway, there we go. Federal Reserve officials are considering whether to allow inflation to rise above their 2% target, more often as they grapple with the likelihood that interest rates are likely to remain much lower than in the past. Yes. The discussions are preliminary, but are heating up now because the Fed formally kicks off a months-long review of its policy framework with a national listening tour beginning this week in Texas. They don't listen to anybody. Well, no, actually, they're meeting with other bankers and people they listen to, but they're not meeting with us. Put it that way. Animating the review is the uncomfortable prospect that the Fed's benchmark short-term rate could peak at or slightly above the current range, between 2.25 and 2.5%. Let's see. Such low rates leave the Fed less room than in the past to cut rates in a downturn and increase the possibility they might be pinned near zero for longer in future recessions. Each of the last three downturns, the Fed lowered its benchmark by roughly 5 percentage points. Yeah, well, they don't have 5 percentage points to play with. It's only at 2 to 2.5, 2.25 to 2.5. And they kept it at zero for pretty much for Obama for most of his term, and he still couldn't pull the best he could do at the end in 2016 was only 1.5% annual GDP growth. Yeah, and that was what helping him as much as possible. Low nominal rates leave the Fed with less room to ease in a downturn and increase the possibility rates might return to near zero in the next recession. A policy framework that is more relaxed about higher inflation would be one way to signal the Fed's commitment to taking bolder action to boost growth after a recession. And this kind of shows you the chart here. Inflation during the expansion phase of the business cycle has trended lower. Yeah, inflation has been going through the roof. Maybe people putting money in the bank. Hey, savings equals investment. That's a good thing. It's a good discussion to think about. It's a good discussion to think about how we have policy space, particularly if interest rates through this cycle are not going to be much higher than they already are, said Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren in an interview earlier this month. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell could be questioned about the review when he testifies on Capitol Hill Tuesday and Wednesday. Fed officials have said they could employ the unconventional stimulus tools they used after the 2008 crisis, including bond buying programs. For some, including Fed Vice Chairman Richard Clarida, who's heading the review, have expressed misgivings about the program's effectiveness. Yeah, as in, it was not effective. I lived through the recession. Trust me, it was not effective. When central banks were first setting inflation targets in the 1990s, they were worried about inflation running too high and sought to establish expectations for both business and consumers that future inflation would be tame. Behind this approach was the belief that expectations play an important role driving actual inflation. The Fed established a 2% interest inflation target in 2012, but inflation has run below that target for much of the recent expansion. Fed officials have defined this target as symmetric, meaning they would tolerate inflation running modestly above or below it. A measure of inflation that excludes volatile food and energy categories has averaged at 1.6%. Jesus. Since the target was adopted in 2012, though it has been running recently at 1.9. Oh, gee, quick, put out the fires. It's 1.9. The risk that Americans could start expecting inflation to languish below 2% calls for reassessment of the dominant inflation targeting framework. Thank you. Please. Review it. Do something with it. Jeez. Yeah, see, there's the interest rates right there. That's the Obama term. Right there. See, watch. 0. That's what they did for him. And then Trump gets in and the economy starts moving and they quick got to raise interest rates. The Fed isn't looking to raise the 2% target as part of its review. As part of its review, Mr. Powell said in December, rather we are looking for better ways to achieve the inflation goal. For example, on a symmetric basis, meaning nothing. Changes in how the central bank defines the target could boost the power of monetary policy in a downturn. You can have the same inflation target, but how you measure it can give you more space. Basically, they can change their mind without admitting they had to change their mind. They'll find another way to measure it. They'll change how you measure it. Not they'll change. They're going to change their policy, but they're really saying, "Oh, we're going to change how we measure the inflation." So when it really actually goes above 2%, they don't raise interest rates. They say, "Oh, well, we're measuring it differently now, so we're still good," even though they're letting it go above 2% on the inflation. See, it's backward looking, it's forward looking, it's over a long period, over a short period. Okay. All righty. But anyway, Freelance Ronan, Carl. Hey, how you doing, Freelance? But welcome to Carl's Opinion in the chat room. So anyway, I've been on for a little over 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours now. So what I'm going to probably do is going to wrap up the live stream for tonight. I want to thank everybody who came in and joined us, all my moderators. Thank you so much. The people who called in, I appreciate your phone calls. And it was a good, lively discussion today. We covered a number of great issues, and the call-ins were fantastic. Got us into other directions, which was really good, and kind of made the whole live stream, a lot more enjoyable. So I just want to thank everybody who did that. The Great Douchebag, yay! Anyway, yeah, we're going to be go ahead and call it an evening tonight, Mr. Great Douchebag, and I'm going to be wrapping up the live stream here in just a second. So, I do want to thank Mr. Douchebag also. It was a great call-in this evening. You kind of expanded the topic of discussion, which was always good, and got us in some really good areas of discussion. So thank you very much. Always a pleasure having you on. Always a pleasure taking your phone calls. So anyway, let me go ahead and get us wrapped up here. Boom. Thanks for watching. Boom. And that's me. And let's get me over here real quick. Boom. Hey. But anyway, just want to thank everybody. And let's see. Boom. All right. So I'll leave that with that one little article there. And I just want to say everybody thanks. And I'll leave you guys with some music. So again, thanks. This has been Carl's Opinion. You like the video, hit the like button. And if you liked it a lot, hit the subscribe button. And thanks for joining. We'll see you next time on Carl's Opinion.